is tied on top with Germany's Steven Jaeger, who's played 9 holes so far. Defending champion Scotty Scheffler's played 6 holes and is at 2 under par. Scheffler looking to become only the 4th player in Masters history to win the tournament back-to-back. Joaquin Niemann and Terrell Hatton also at 2 under par. They are 2 shots behind our co-leaders. Reporting live, Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Well, Bill, the weather should hold out for play today in Augusta, but we are expecting some storms later on, and some of those storms could be severe.
Damaging winds and large hail, inch and a half in diameter. Those are the main threats for this system that's coming on through. The overall tornado risk is low, but watching it, of course.
Channel 2 Action News meteorologist Brad Nitz will have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast. That comes your way at 12:05. It may be a little busier on this lunch hour in downtown Atlanta. Many workers at Atlanta City Hall had to be back at work today.
As of today, City of Atlanta employees are required to be back in the office at least 3 days a week, but requirements depend on the job position and department. The mandate from Mayor Andre Dickens does say staff for ATL 311 will continue working remotely. Many city employees have been on a fully remote or hybrid schedule since the start of the pandemic 5 years ago. Atlanta's mandate follows a similar federal mandate from the Trump administration earlier this year. Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Well, will he or won't he? That is the question for Governor Kemp as he's considering a possible Senate run next year.
It's no secret that Governor Kemp could run for the GOP nomination against U.S. Senator Jon Ossoff, who's up for re-election next year.
Obviously, I have a lot of people reaching out to me, talking to me about that.
But Kemp says he's going to take a little more time to decide whether to throw his hat into the ring.
And I'm going to try to get, a little bit of downtime where I can to kind of think through things, do some due diligence, and then we'll keep people posted.
If he doesn't run, there are other state Republicans reportedly considering a bid, including Insurance Commissioner John King. Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
Now let's head to Washington this noon.
On this vote, the yeas are 216, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted without objection. The motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
It was close, but the House passed a Trump-backed budget framework bill today. All but 2 Republicans voted yes. The framework could slash the federal budget by at least $1.5 trillion. Some folks in Forest Park may be the victims of a data breach.
The city of Forest Park is opening a call center and offering free credit monitoring for residents whose information might have been compromised during an incident last summer. That's when city officials noticed a network disruption and brought in a forensic firm to investigate. That investigation wrapped up last month, and the firm determined a limited amount of personal information may have been accessed by an unauthorized third party. The city says that information may include social security numbers, driver's license info, birth dates, and other sensitive data, although there's no indication that any information has been misused. Jennifer Perry, 95.5 WSB.
Hey, do you drive an Audi or do you know somebody who does? Listen up. Some 40,000 Audis are under recall this noon because of a software issue. The display panel could fail to show critical safety information like how fast you're going. The speedometer might not work or warning lights might not show up, which increases the risk of a crash. This recall involves 2021 Audis. There's a long list. Dealers will update the instrument panel software for free. Owner notification letters are expected to be sent out on May 30th. Now, inflation cooled off last month. Brian Clark has details.
Consumer prices increased by 2.4% in March compared to a year ago. That's a cool down. Economists projected a 2.6% increase, but this data was collected before President Trump's tariff escalation. Economists say tariffs could leave inflation high. The 2.4% reading is still above the Federal Reserve's 2% target.
And as the tariff talk continues and the trade war with China intensifies, some companies that rely on China for products are worried. Michael Becker is chief operating officer at the company called FabDog.
We used to pay a 4.3% duty on a dog toy 30 days ago. Now, our duty on a dog toy is going to be 129.3%. I mean, you can't even make that up.
All right, so let's take a look at the markets right now and see how your investments are looking. The Dow currently down 1,717 at 38,891. So the Dow's down more than 4%. NASDAQ down more than 5.5% on your lunch hour. And the S&P's down almost 5%. It's time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams is in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Watching the brake lights on 85 southbound through Duluth. You're slow from Highway 316 down to a crash that was in the right lane. It's back to just being on the right Shoulder, all lanes open at Indian Trail Road, exit number 101, and picked up a new stall in Sandy Springs, 285 eastbound, the inner loop, Riverside Drive, exit 24. It's in the second left lane. That's slowing you back toward I-75. Still seeing some westbound delays from Riverside Drive over to I-75, crossing over the Chattahoochee River there, and 285 south, the outer loop on the west side, on and off the brakes from South Cobb Drive to I-20, the West Freeway. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Now your 5-day forecast, sponsored by Shoemate, the official air conditioning of Atlanta.
Partly to mostly cloudy ahead of some storms moving in late this evening and into the night. We'll have temperatures in the mid-70s today. As the storms come through this evening, it'll bring the potential for damaging winds and large hail. Could be some severe weather. For Friday, just a few lingering showers, but no storm threat. Low 53, high 66. And for Saturday, mostly sunny. Low 45, high 64. 5-day forecast for Sunday and Monday. Sunshine stays with us. Sunday's low 43, high 72. Mostly sunny Monday, low 50, high up to 82. I'm Channel 2 Action News Chief Meteorologist Brad Nitz, 95.5 WSB.
Partly cloudy, 65 degrees in Midtown. We'll have more news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across America, back in the home studio. It is wonderful to be back and to have slept in my own bed last night. The Masters are on the TV wall in front of me, so I can see all the screens and all the holes. It's a wonderful day and great weather. Now, the phone number, 877-973-7425, should you wish to be on the program. And if you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, you can get all the links to all the stuff you need to know, the podcast, the live stream, the show notes, social media links, everything you need. Let's bring you up to speed. I was hoping to not start with this today, but it does appear to be necessary. The tariffs, they're on hold and they're not on hold. So the reciprocal tariffs are now on hold for 90 days. If you are a listener of this program, if you subscribe to my show notes, let me reset the stage for you. So I got woken up before, 6 a.m. on Monday, and so I could update my show notes before they went out to everybody around 6:30 a.m. And I was told specifically by a very well-placed source inside Trump land, inside the White House, I guess I could say, that the president was going to put a hold on the tariffs, would say essentially that there were so many countries that wanted deals, he was going to put them on hold. But the actual reason was because the investors, whose major donors were all in a frenzy this weekend, particularly at Mar-a-Lago, very unhappy with the markets. Now, the president's team, including the Treasury Secretary, came out late yesterday when the president put everything on pause and said this had always been part of the plan. And you had people across the country, Trump supporters, saying this was just the art of the deal. You should read the art of the deal. For the president's part, the president himself said he was putting the tariffs on hold because the bond market was getting, in his words, yippy and needed to slow things down. That's the president's words, not my words. Whether it's the art of the deal or not, the reciprocal tariffs are on pause. Now, here's the catch, though. Yesterday, the stock market soared. In fact, it was the largest one-day gain in the stock market in history, I believe. It is now cratering. All the gains yesterday are being given up today. The Dow is actually down pretty significantly, 1,635 points. NASDAQ down 962. The S&P 500 down 259. Now, what did I tell you? Before the end of the show yesterday, I told you that I thought that people were misreading what the president's tweet actually meant, and people assumed all the tariffs were gone away. Actually, what happened was the 10% tariffs stay, and the what do you call them? The sector tariffs stay. So what does that mean? The 25% auto tariff still in effect, and the pharmaceutical tariff will go into effect. All the other tariffs are at 10% now. There is no, there are no massive reciprocal tariffs now. So that being said, it's a very big deal and a good thing that the reciprocal tariffs are paused, and it did give the market a jolt yesterday until they realized actually it's the regular tariffs are here. That being said, there is a problem for the Trump administration in pausing the reciprocal tariffs and keeping the baseline tariff. And you need to understand this just so you're smarter than all your friends when this sort of thing comes up. The president is using authority under legislation about emergency powers. And it's hard to say blanket 10% tariffs that there's an emergency need for. When the legislation talks about targeting specific countries, imposing a broad 10% tariff actually probably could, well, that could undermine his case. You just you do need to understand that particular part here, that the legislative power comes from an emergency law that Congress passed regarding specific emergencies around the world and allowing presidents to impose specific and limited, that's the key language, specific and limited tariffs to respond to the emergency. And by the way, a lawsuit has now been filed against the tariffs, and one of the key arguments is that specific and limited tariffs are not a blanket, broad-based 10% tariff. And by getting rid of the reciprocal tariffs and making it 10% against everyone, including countries that actually have a zero tariffs against us, and we have free trade agreements with, that could undermine the president's argument. Now, I have been told today that they are aware of this and that they do understand, and some of them inside the White House, you would come to believe they might know that this could undermine the tariffs, but then you could blame the judges again. Now, that being said, there is some breaking news that's happening as I'm on air talking to you right now. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals has just issued a decision in the last few minutes, and I see the headline here. I haven't had time to digest the decision, but the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals has actually blocked a lower court decision that would have told Donald Trump that he had to fund DEI grants. Now, the Supreme Court has stayed something on this, and now the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, in just the last couple of minutes since I've been talking, has now also issued this order saying that the President of the United States does not have to fund DEI grants. This is yet another win for the Trump administration. So now keep this in mind for perspective. The President is now 7 out of 8 wins in the Supreme Court. He's now something like 5 out of 6 wins in courts of appeals. And the tariff lawsuit has just been filed. My suspicion is y'all know I don't like tariffs, and I'm trying to actually be as objective as I can on this, which you can say is hard or impossible, whatever. I realize the age we live in. But I do think, and based on this conversation I had with some of the same people who have been keeping me clued in on what's going on, I actually think there are people inside the White House setting the president up to fail on tariffs. Let me explain. A lot of the behind-the-scenes people in the White House and the Treasury Department and the economic team have long been opposed to tariffs. Peter Navarro loves them. Howard Lutnick loves them. Most of the rest of the economic team opposes them. The legal basis for filing the tariffs has been this emergency law that allows limited and specific tariffs to combat particular egregious behavior by global trading partners. The reciprocal tariffs, whether I agreed with the calculations or not, the reciprocal tariffs addressed those emergency situations. They were limited and specific country by country, designed to punish countries for trading violations. A broad-based 10% tariff, along with sector tariffs related to automobiles, pharmaceuticals, and other materials. And now, apparently, the president just a few minutes ago, or actually a couple hours ago, said he may give specific companies in the United States exemptions from all the tariffs. Those most hard hit, Apple Computer, might actually get a complete exemption from the tariffs, including possibly the Chinese tariffs. if that's the case, these aren't specific and limited. And so my suspicion is at this point, and again, this is my informed speculation based on conversations with firsthand sources inside the mix and inside the conversation, based on my knowledge of the law, based on the way the statute reads, and based on how it's being applied. I'm wondering if there are people inside the White House who are pushing the president towards decisions that actually undermine the tariffs overall and provide ammunition for a lower court to say, you know what, this isn't legal. So the president himself can look like he's tough on trade, and it could be those liberals in the judiciary who have blocked him. That is, again, speculation on my part, but I'm having conversation with these people who are inside the White House who are deeply skeptical of tariffs and actually believe it's going to cause economic harm, and they understand that the president is listening to Peter Navarro and Howard Lutnick, and the president himself is a longtime proponent of tariffs and also doesn't like trade deficits, and so they're trying to steer a path where the president gets what he wants but is also protected from what they believe are the ramifications of tariffs. That all leads me to this court case that has now been filed. And by the way, it's not actually progressives who have filed the case. It's some conservatives who have filed the case against the tariffs. Just understand this is the lay of the land. And so also, this is why the words from the White House matter. The confusions over how they came up with the reciprocal tariff formula matter, although it's kind of moot now that they put it on pause for 90 days. The words from the president himself that this wasn't actually some large-scale negotiating plan. It was because the bond market got yippy and his investors complained over the weekend about the effects on the stock market. Those sorts of things matter in building the record that will be used against the administration. So they got to be very, very careful. All of that being said, I think the president could go higher on tariffs in China. And I kind of think he should. I think we need to stop treating China as some sort of trading partner or rival. China is the enemy. But that being said, I think there's another reason here the president can also now fully enforce the ban on TikTok. Some of the people who are the loudest critics of the tariffs behind the scenes are some of the conservatives who invested in TikTok and in ByteDance. You're now giving them what they want, Mr. President, on the tariffs, the pause that they wanted. There's no reason to give them TikTok now. If we really are in a major power struggle with China right now. By the way, the Chinese embassy put out a tweet of a Mao speech saying that they never back down. Mao, of course, backed down pretty soon after giving that speech. If the Chinese have decided to escalate this, and it appears they have, and we're going back and forth escalating the tariffs on China, get rid of TikTok. The Chinese are brainwashing our youth through TikTok. If we have such a national security threat against China that you can deploy strategic tariffs against China, it's probably time to deploy the strategic tariffs. And it's time to deploy the ban on TikTok to undermine China. That's just, listen, I think either China is a threat or it's not. And if it is a threat, and I think it is a threat, it's not some sort of economic rival. It's not some sort of major trading partner. It's actually the enemy. So treat it like the enemy. I think that also means it's time for this administration to consider something that the prior administration rejected out of hand, and that is it time to deport Chinese national students who are inside the United States getting their engineering and technical education? Bold move there, Erickson, I realize. But I'm kind of thinking that we might need to start evicting Chinese national students who are inside American universities. By the way, a number of whom, and I don't know what the percentage is, but everybody knows it, and it's very common to talk about it within national security circles. A lot of them are actually agents of the Chinese government. They're not just here getting education, they're here spying. They're trying to recruit professors. They're trying to recruit other students. It's probably time to get rid of these students. Now, I know there are a lot of people who don't want to say something like that. But if we're evicting the illegal aliens, shouldn't we be evicting the Chicoms? I think it's probably time to do that. So enforce the ban on TikTok. You've already got the legislative authority to do it. Oust the Chinese national spies who are in our academy. And be careful with your words on the baseline 10% tariffs, because the markets today, as I told you what happened yesterday, when they realized that the 10% tariffs of the sector tariffs were still there, the market was probably going to tank again today. Yes, the market is tanking. There are other reasons, too, why it's tanking. I'll get to those when we come back. But, Mr. President, if this is a national security issue, treat the Chinese like the enemy and start ousting their students and banning their apps and increase the tariffs even more. I'm totally fine with tariffs on China.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1221 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Thanks to traffic trooper Mike. He told us about a stalled big rig in Marietta. We see it on the jam cam. 75 northbound, South Marietta Parkway exit 263. It knocks out the second right lane. Delays growing back toward I-285. 285 east, the inner loop in recovery mode, leaving I-75. Cleaning up pretty quickly, though, into Sandy Springs. Stalled moved off to the right at Riverside Drive. And they blocked and reopened all lanes downtown. 75-85 southbound. Just before you get to I-20, got trouble off to the right there. Traffic brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Get easier favorites at Whole Foods Market. Save 30% on no antibiotics ever. Bone-in spiral cut pork hams with Prime through April 15th while supplies last. Shop in store or online. Terms apply. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
When the news matters to you.
The massive project at 285 and Georgia 400 has been a big improvement.
95.5 WSB has you covered.
The latest incident comes when a SWAT team is called after a suspect.
Your 24/7 news
They
source.
had no ties to a gang.
When you need the story, all you need to do is listen. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's breaking news station.
Hey, homeowners, it's Eric Erickson. You wouldn't trust Mac with a jack to fix your home's sinking foundation problem, would you? I certainly wouldn't. Serious issues need serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, so are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
678 ESOG now. You should never need financing for a simple garage door repair, but it's happening here. Out-of-town companies have invaded Atlanta for a cash grab, charging outrageous prices. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. Stay local and stay on budget for every opening of your home. All Four Seasons, trusted in Atlanta for over 25 years, exceptional customer service, and fair, honest pricing. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 Seasons Garages.
This is Scott Slade, and this is my health story. I get a checkup every year. In last September, my primary care physician was troubled by a suspicious number on my lab work. I'll never forget his words, "I want somebody looking over my shoulder on this." Well, that led to a diagnosis early enough to give me options and optimism for a good outcome. When we're talking about our health, we shouldn't be shy. I think it's important to talk about what can kill you or rob you of your quality of life. Heart disease is still the nation's #1 killer. And what I think should be right up there with it, procrastination. We all need expert eyes looking us over every so often to spot problems while we still have options to deal with them. And that's where virtual imaging comes in. They've got the best CT imaging in the Southeast with 98% accuracy and low radiation, like flying in an airplane. They can detect calcium levels in your arteries and most cancers at the earliest stage. And virtual imaging can scan your brain to see if you're in danger of a tumor, stroke, or even dementia. I am living proof that preventive medicine can save lives. So don't put this off, especially with this offer from Virtual Imaging. For a limited time, they're offering you and your spouse a free heart scan. Yes, free, with a few minimum requirements. I've done it. Call 404-678-SCAN. That's 404-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com. Do it now while you still have options.
While spring in Georgia can be a more comfortable season, we all know it's a precursor to our sweltering summer. Hi, this is Daniel Jape. Make sure your air conditioning system is ready all summer long with our maintenance checkup today from Jape Services. And if you happen to need to replace an aging system, now's a great time. We have excellent financing options, rebates, and even a federal tax credit. Call us 24/7 to book your appointment or book online at japeservices.com.
Count on us, Jape Services.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Right now, Kroger brand bone-in hickory smoked spiral ham is only $1.99 a pound with your card, an additional $25 purchase. Limit 2. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
It's happening, guys. Your hair's thinning, the crown's disappearing. Hair loss might have you feeling you've lost your identity. It's Mark Arum here. Thankfully, there's Advanced Hair Simple One-Day Treatment. You decide how much, how thick, and where. It's your own natural hair that begins regrowing the very next day, and it's guaranteed to grow for life. I've seen Advanced Hair's incredible results with my own eyes. Get your free consultation, $250 off, and 250 free hair grafts. Call 470-660-HAIR or advancedhair.com.
Join Eric's army of activists and let your voice be heard. Text ARMY to 33777.
There is some good news out there today economically, and that is inflation has not only fallen, it actually, month-over-month CPI inflation turned negative. That is, it's now, if it stays negative, that becomes a depression. It's a bad thing. Nobody actually thinks that's going to happen. But it actually dipped significantly, fell below 3% for the first time since March of 2021. CPI did. Total inflation at 2.4%, lower than expected, 2.5%. Now, that should be an encouraging sign to the markets. So why are the markets plunging? You should know right now the S&P 500 has fallen so much that it is almost at the breaker limit where they pause trading. It's got 1% more to fall, and no idea if it'll actually do that, but it is fallen 336 points now as it updates. It could cause the circuit breakers within the S&P to hit and pause trading. We haven't seen that happen, I think, since COVID. So why is everything, you got this great inflation number, so why? Why is this happening? It's because of commodity prices. Let me just explain this to you. So, commodities, many of which on the futures markets, oil and other things are cratering. The price of commodities are collapsing. That's twofold. Some commodities are collapsing because other countries are dropping our agricultural products in favor of other countries' agricultural products. The other issue is that this is kind of a common harbinger of recession. When all the commodity prices start collapsing, and again, I'm not an expert, but I do know how to listen to the experts and read books. When all the commodity prices, particularly the energy commodities, start collapsing, that is read as a sign of a recession. And the Moody's, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, others are coming out saying this is a really bad warning sign that the commodities are starting to all go down together, given it tends to typically historically be a harbinger of recession coming. So that's why the markets are doing what they're doing. That and the tariffs are actually still there. All right, I got to tell you about the Eden Pure Thunderstorm because, you can still get them and save $200 and get 3 of them at EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Eric3. Now, I got to tell you, true story. We weren't here yesterday. I stayed at a hotel. It was a very odd hotel. My assistant was not a fan of it. She'd stayed there before. She's like, you're not going to like it. I am a hotel snob. I admit it. Although the Hampton Inn probably has the most comfortable bed, and they tend to have the window unit, so the room gets ice cold, and they're the best. But it's just this was a nice resort. But they had some sort of perfume fragrance everywhere. And it was in the hotel room, and it was killing my sinuses. I fired up my Eden Pure Thunderstorm. It's so small, I keep it in my travel bag. It wiped out the odor. It did exactly what it was designed to do, wipe out the odor. You can get 3 of them and save $200. Get them for less than $200. It kills bacteria, viruses, traps pet dander, pollen, dust. Get them at EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code ERIC3. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERIC3, ERICK3 at EdenPureDeals.com.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. U.S. stocks are in the red. This after historic gains from the day before as Wall Street weighs a trade war that is still threatening the economy. Let's take a look at the markets. The Dow down 1,947 at 38,660. So the Dow is down close to 5%. NASDAQ is down more than 6.5%, and the S&P is down more than 5.5%. And when you look at jobs, the number of Americans requesting first-time unemployment benefits rose by 4,000 last week. The Labor Department reports a total of 223,000 initial filings in the week ending April 5th. That number was right in line with what most analysts had been expecting. Partly cloudy today and a high of 75 ahead of storms that are expected to move in later today. Some of those storms this evening could be severe. Channel 2 Action News meteorologist Brad Nitz will have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. The 89th Masters is underway, and if you're headed to Augusta to see the Masters today, the Georgia Cancer Center is teaming up with Kroger to offer free health screenings. Kroger's Team Tune-Up is a mobile health unit that normally sets up at NASCAR races, and they offer things like free vaccines and nutritional counseling. Well, today, the Georgia Cancer Center is joining them to offer free lung cancer screenings. They'll be at the Kroger on Washington Road there in Augusta until 5 o'clock this afternoon. They'll be there from 1 until 5 today. So here in the state of Georgia, every 2 hours, someone in this state dies of lung cancer. So those free screenings are being offered. Governor Kemp is still weighing a Senate run in 2026. He's the top choice among many Republicans to take on Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff next year. But Kemp says he's still thinking through things right now.
And I'm going to try to get, a little bit of downtime where I can to kind of think through things, do some due diligence, and then we'll keep people posted.
His decision could have a ripple effect on other high-profile races here in Georgia. It's 12:32.
News is temporary, but your financial plan shouldn't be. I'm Wes Moss, and at Capital Investment Advisors, we're focused on helping retirees invest for income. This means building and managing a portfolio that delivers a steady stream of income, regardless of the scary headlines of the day. If you're ready to shift your focus from the headlines to your core pursuits in retirement, reach out to our team at yourwealth.com. That's YOUR wealth.com.
It's Diamond Month at D. Geller & Son Jewelers, and that means this month, buying diamonds comes with even more diamonds. All through the month of April, when you spend $9.95 or more, you'll receive a pair of gorgeous hand-matched diamond studs absolutely free. At $9.95, you get a quarter-carat pair of studs for free. $24.95, we'll give you half-carat studs. And at $99.95, you're going home with a full-carat pair of studs on us. All April long in Kennesaw, Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
When it comes to your home, quality is crucial. Trust the Plus. Painting Plus. The Plus means siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and of course, painting.
Hi, I'm Charlie, owner of Painting Plus and the Plus family of businesses. Quality comes first. We have the most experienced exterior craftsmen in the industry.
If your home's exterior has it, the Plus can improve it. Painting Plus. Siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, porches, roofing, and more. Trust the Plus. PaintingPlus.com.
Alex Williams has a look at your roads.
Stalled big rig still in the second right lane, Marietta, 75 north, South Marietta Parkway, exit 263, delays there. Right lane construction in the cab, 20 eastbound, approaching Wesley Chapel Road, exit 68. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm Channel 2 Action News Chief Meteorologist Brad. It's headed to the mid-70s ahead of strong and potentially severe storms moving in this evening and into the night. Damaging winds and large hail, the main risks with this. For Friday, just a few lingering showers, low 53, high 66.
65 degrees right now. We'll have more news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be delighted to have you. If you text DATA, D-A-T-A, to 33777, you can get the show notes with a discount. So as the show starts, you get an email with all the links to all the stuff I intend to talk about and all the stuff I don't actually get to. There's a lot of it there. So much we leave on the cutting room floor because there's just not time. I want to talk about the other big story. In fact, this was how I wanted to start the show today, but I couldn't with all the tariff news and stuff. One thing you do need to know, and this actually is pretty significant, is that the S&P 500 is on the verge of hitting a breaker. And what that breaker is it's a interesting term for they pause trading on the market. The markets are in pretty significant free fall right now, although the S&P is off its earlier lows from the day, but it's bad. The Dow is down over 4.25%. The S&P is down over 5%. The Nasdaq is down 6%. The Russell 2000 is down 6%. The Russell 2000 is the small businesses. The small businesses are getting crushed right now. That's part of the problem with the situation. The volatility index, just so you know, is up 43%. But I want to talk about the budget. I had wanted to begin my show today on the budget situation, but given all the news overnight on tariffs, I thought it was probably best to reset the situation just so you understand what's in effect, what's not in effect, the legal arguments that are about to be made in a courtroom over the tariffs. But the budget actually has a lot of implications here, too. The House last night tried to pass the Senate budget framework. Now, there are two arguments here you need to understand. The one argument, and that is the argument a lot of people in the Senate make, and the establishmentarians make, and that is that the budget resolution is actually meaningless. The budget resolution does nothing. All the budget resolution does is set the framework for future debate. So there's never a reason to vote against the budget resolution because it's non-binding, doesn't actually set the budget, and you can change it later. It just begins. It's the starting point for the negotiations. It's not the ending point. Conservatives, however, tend to argue, and I am in this camp, that if it is the starting point for negotiations, then you gotta set a high bar for spending. Because we're headed towards a fiscal crisis, and that fiscal crisis is going to mean a massive increase in taxes for the American family, including the middle class, a massive cut in government services, and it will, and you need to understand this, it will force cuts to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. It absolutely will if we hit this fiscal crisis. I had someone the other day who clearly wasn't thinking, didn't understand the situation, whatnot, and was attacking me, saying, no. There are not going to be any cuts to Social Security. There will be no cuts to Medicare and Medicaid. Why are you needlessly saying that they're in jeopardy and they're going to go bankrupt? This is why. Because if we hit a fiscal crisis, and we are on the verge, What is the number one thing that must be covered by the government? It is the one payment the government of the United States is not allowed to get out of under the law. Debt service. Debt service. So if interest on the national debt is super high, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid definitionally have to be cut. They have to be cut because debt service has to be paid. The United States guarantees full faith and credit of the United States when it comes to our debt. You cannot get out of the debt payment. Now, you can say, well, Erickson, are we owed money under Social Security? Social Security is not a lockbox. The money for Social Security goes into the general fund. It doesn't go into a segregated fund. It goes into the general fund. And you are not owed that money back by the government. It is actually treated as taxation by the courts, and you don't get your taxes back. You're lucky you get some Social Security back, but it's not a guarantee. What is guaranteed is that the nation has to pay its debts. So if the national debt gets too high and the debt payments get too high, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid payments will be cut to fund the debt. And we don't want that to happen. I'm not saying we want it to happen. I'm not encouraging it. I'm just telling you that's the reality of the situation. Debt service payment comes before everything else, and everything else is expendable to debt service. Now, what happens if you have to fund 100% of the money into the federal government to pay debt service? Guess what? Well, then your taxes go up to get the rest. Your taxes go up to make everything happen, to make everything balance, to make everything work. And we don't want that either, because that will really cause economic harm in the country. We've seen other countries go through this. It's not a good thing, and rarely do you come out on the other side in a good position. So you got to be real careful. So the conservatives refused. There were about 12 to 15 of them last night. They refused to go along with the Senate budget resolution. Now, remember, again, the establishment says it doesn't matter. It's just the starting point of negotiations. What the conservatives say is that if it's the starting point for negotiations and it's not cutting anything, then anything that they negotiate moving forward is not going to be high enough, and we need strong cuts to government. So led by Thomas Massie, Chip Roy, Andy Harris, and the House Freedom Caucus, they killed off the budget resolution last night. They didn't vote it down. It got pulled from the floor. They canceled the vote. They canceled the vote, hoping to bring the vote back today. They are working very hard on pulling as many as possible of those 12 to 15 members and getting them to a yes. It does not appear at this moment that they have gotten all of the yes votes that they need. I hope that they'll be able to get more cuts. So Chip Roy is kind of the probably the smartest member of the House of Representatives, and now I'm biased. He's a longtime friend, but he actually is very smart. And Chip Roy, what you have to understand, does not care if he loses his reelection. He is convinced we're at the point in this country where if we don't start cutting big, we're going to have serious problems. And because we're going to have serious problems, we need to take action now. What Roy is essentially saying is if the Senate will come over and actually commit to the House's initial offer, the House initially said $1.5 trillion in cuts. Where's the Senate? The Senate's at like $400 billion in cuts. They'll agree to $400 billion in spending cuts. The House's plan was $1.5 trillion. What Roy is saying, if you start at $1.5 trillion in cuts, I'm open to pretty much anything. Now, side note, there's an additional negotiation you need to know about going on here, and that's over something called the REINS Act. Kat Cammack is a congresswoman from Florida. Kat Cammack has got the conservatives in the House and the Senate bought in on the REINS Act. Now, this is something that's also happening at the state level. This is very, very wonky. But you got to understand that this is a negotiated leverage from the conservatives. They want the REINS Act. If they can find a way to get it in the Byrd, past the Byrd rule, and they think they found a way, they want the REINS Act. What is the REINS Act? The REINS Act would rein in the government bureaucracy. Essentially, What the REINS Act says is that if a regulator intends to pass a regulation that would cost Americans or American businesses, I want to say like $100 million over a 10-year period, Congress has to legislate it. Now, there are state-level versions of the REINS Act as well, and some of the states are $1 million, $10 million. Utah, for example, Utah just passed the REINS Act. In Georgia, it got killed off of the legislative session. But a number of states, I think Texas is looking at the REINS Act. And essentially what happens is legislative bodies at the state and the federal government level, they outsource a lot of their legislative capacity to regulators, and regulators, because they're unelected, they don't have to care about the costs that Congress does. So what the REINS Act does is it says you, the regulators, cannot pass regulations if those regulations are assessed to cost X number of dollars. Now, there are formulas that the government uses to assess the cost, and they've contemplated those, so it makes it harder for the regulators to rig the numbers. A number of the conservatives want the REINS Act passed. I want the REINS Act passed. The REINS Act is solid legislation that would rein in the federal bureaucracy and keep the federal bureaucracy from harm. Take, for example, the regulations on tankless water heaters. The Trump administration is rolling those back. The Biden administration, tankless water heater regulation would have not only wiped out an industry, literally would have wiped out an industry, it would have also cost the industry hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of compliance. What the REINS Act would do, if it's put into reconciliation, is say you can't pass that as a regulator. You have to send the regulation as proposed to Congress, and Congress has to pass it and the president has to sign it into law. It would actively deter onerous regulations from the bureaucracy. What conservatives are essentially saying is, I'm willing to compromise if you give us the REINS Act. And if you don't give us the REINS Act, you have to cut trillions of dollars in spending. But we have to do something to rein in the power of Washington, and we have to do something to rein in the spending in Washington. And the REINS Act would accomplish part of that with the power. Spending cuts would accomplish the other. I mean, we're kind of in this wild, wild space right now where Donald Trump's major supporters care greatly about the cost of government and spending, and yet the president was convinced by the Senate that he needed to sign on to their budget resolution, but their budget resolution doesn't cut the spending that the president and his base care about. And I do honestly sometimes wonder, the president is busy, he's doing a lot of things at once. Is he being given candid advice from his advisors on the spending issue? Because the president cares about the spending. The president has repeatedly said he wants to cut government. And you know what the Senate plan doesn't even do is it doesn't even rescind the stuff that DOJ found. That's kind of the most offensive part of this. The president and Elon Musk have made a big deal of exposing waste, fraud, and abuse in government. The Senate and the House could rescind it. And by the way, a rescission package bypasses the filibuster. So the Democrats couldn't filibuster. They could rein it all back in. But the Senate didn't even do that. These are the things the president has said he's wanted. And I'm kind of flummoxed on who isn't telling the president the parameters of the legislation. I know he's got a lot of stuff going on, the tariffs and everything else, but this is kind of a big deal. It is his legacy. The tax package is his ultimate legacy. So I'm flummoxed by it. All that being said, the House today is trying to get the votes of enough conservatives to at least get a budget resolution passed. John Thune has come out and said they will cooperate with the House on finding greater cuts. The problem is the Senate's not willing to put it in writing. If they're not willing to put it in writing, I don't know that I would trust the Senate that it is actually willing to find the cuts. But right now, the president can't get his tax cut package passed without the budget resolution so that we can even begin negotiations. And they can't get the budget resolution passed because the Senate is not willing to, in writing, commit to cutting government the way they say they're willing to do it. If they say they're that committed to doing it, they should be willing to put it in writing. And that they're not speaks volumes to me. I stand with the House conservatives on this. It's a bad deal unless the Senate's willing to put in writing. They really will cut the size and scope of the federal government. Hillsdale College has a great series of courses that you can take right now. You can sign up for free at absolutely no charge at ericforhillsdale.com and take some classes from Hillsdale College. There are 40 different classes to choose from. The topics range from theology to literature to philosophy to political science to chemistry to math, economics. Everybody can take the economics class right now. They're video lectures. You do it at your own pace. Depending on the class, depends on the episodes. They're Hillsdale's finest faculty doing these lecture series. They're actually very entertaining. When I say lectures, it's a college lecture, but they actually do a very good job of keeping it stimulating and entertaining. Surely there's a topic you want to learn more about. Maybe it's Genesis. Maybe it's the structure of the Constitution and the Constitutional Convention. Maybe it's about citizenship. Maybe it's about Athens and Sparta or the Roman Republican Empire. Hillsdale's got all those college classes available for you completely for free. All you do is go to ericforhillsdale.com, ericforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K. Sign up today at absolutely no cost. You get a certificate of completion. Hillsdale College builds a relationship with you and you with them, and you stimulate your mind in a day and age where there's so much frivolous stuff out there. You can actually learn more about a topic with Hillsdale College. So go check it out today, ericforhillsdale.com.
Honest.
Putting your trust in me to tell you what's going on.
Transparent.
I need you to know this from the bottom of my heart.
Giving you the information without the noise.
My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear, it's to tell you the truth.
It's the Eric Erickson Show.
1250 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Travel advisory now in Marietta. This stalled big rig 75 northbound at the South 120 loop exit 263. Now they're holding 2 right lanes, so that means using Highway 41 Cobb Parkway as you're already jammed up leaving 285. Downtown, seeing them some brake lights 75-85 northbound from the Highway 166 passing University Avenue. And right lane construction in the cab 20 eastbound Wesley Chapel exit 68. Traffic brought to you by the Georgia Lottery. Tomorrow's Mega Millions jackpot is $72 million. Now with bigger jackpots, better odds, and a built-in multiplier. Drawings every Tuesday and Friday. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
The news of the day through the eyes of Eric Von Hessler.
I've listened to many arguments, and there are good arguments to say that we shouldn't. I'm just saying.
If it's on your mind, it's on his.
This is the only way to do it. Some people are going to lose their job, and then they're going to be put back in the job.
Eric Von Hessler, today at 3.
It's about you. You're being celebrated.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Termites could be eating your home right now, and you never know. Christina Edwards here for Breda Pest Management. When was the last time you actually saw your service inspect for termite damage? Let me guess, they just walked around the outside and checked the bait stations. Better get Breda. They use advanced infrared cameras and microwave technology for early detection. Switch to Breda, and your termite rate is locked in for 10 years.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-575-2798.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-2798. That's 800-575-2798.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This is Scott Slade. Let's talk about how to improve your chances of living a longer, healthier life. For me, it's preventive medicine. My doctor saw one funky number in my lab work that eventually led to a diagnosis early enough so I still had options. You just got to have a medical professional looking at you every so often, especially when we're talking about heart disease, the nation's #1 killer. And that's where virtual imaging comes in. They've got the best CT imaging in the Southeast with 98% accuracy and low radiation, like flying in an airplane. They can detect calcium levels in your arteries and most cancers at the earliest stage. And virtual imaging can scan your brain to see if you're in danger of a tumor, stroke, or even dementia. So don't put this off, especially with this offer for virtual imaging. For a limited time, they're offering you and your spouse a free heart scan. Yes, free with a few minimum requirements. I've done it. Call 404-678-SCAN. That's 404-678-SCAN. or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Hey homeowners, it's Eric Erickson here. Do your windows and doors stick? Are you noticing cracks in the drywall or the brickwork? You might have a big problem. Serious issues need the serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, as are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
Get Eric's daily show prep email. Text DATA to 33777 and you'll be in the know.
Greetings, welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, this hour of the show is brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. Wherever you are in the nation, if your business is looking to grow, First Liberty can help your business grow. You probably see some opportunities right now, and your lender may not see those opportunities. They may be getting very cautious because of the economy, but you can thread the needle and see how to get your business growing, but you need help. First Liberty might be able to help you. Reach out to them. FirstLibertyGA.com is their website. All their contact info is there. If you see opportunities, see if they can grow with you. See if you're a fit for them and them for you. FirstLibertyGA.com. Tell them I sent you. FirstLibertyGA.com. A buddy of mine is in Peru. He just sent me an email, said he woke up, has a terrible sinus infection, went to a doctor in Peru. The doctor, it was advertised as a Anglo clinic. Turns out it wasn't. Nobody there spoke English. He thankfully speaks Spanish. And he says that the doctor tells him that the price of his antibiotic that he needs is going to be the price of the tariffs, which he says is nothing. Says you can get your medicine for free in Peru, unlike the United States. And then he says, the doctor looks him in the eye and says, who did you vote for? So my buddy says, might as well be honest with him. I said, I voted for Donald Trump. And the doctor says, good. The doctor says, wokeism is communism, and it must be stamped out everywhere, including Peru. I don't know that the left appreciates just how it has destroyed itself in embracing wokeism. Anderson Cooper last night on CNN, who is one of the nicest, like I know him, he's one of the nicest, you can disagree with him, he's a very nice guy. He's gay. Yeah, he definitely leans to the left, I think, but he gets corrected by some woman on CNN over pronouns. Listen to this.
For our live CNN Town Hall, we're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
They, them pronouns, actually. It is the level of narcissism. Her name is Grace. She is clearly female. And you, they, them pronouns. The level of narcissism from people who use non-gendered pronouns. It is a narcissism. You do need to understand that. We are all about individual liberty and individualism in this country. This is not individualism. This is about individuality. And individuality is part of a cult where everybody has to stand out. And how do they stand out? By conforming to the zeitgeist of the age. And Anderson Cooper gets lectured by a progressive. I shouldn't say lectured, corrected. I use they, them pronouns. How is he supposed to know your name is Grace? Why don't you change it to Zerlee and you can figure it out? Just absolute garbage that we have to put up with these humorless scolds who have embraced this cult of individuality because they are stunning, mentally ill narcissists. This doctor in Peru understands what's at stake. The rest of us should as well.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into. And that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. Medi-Share works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Hi there, good afternoon. It is 1 o'clock. I'm Sabrina Cupid. The markets are deep in the red this afternoon as the trade war goes on. President Trump just now, moments ago, talking to reporters trying to ease fears. He says other countries are calling to negotiate tariffs.
Everybody wants to come and make a deal, and we're working with a lot of different countries. And it's all going to work out very well. I think it's going to work out really very well.
But some business owners say they're in a dilemma.
Businesses, big and small, are dealing with what's being called Trump administration tariffs whiplash. Adrian Sawchuk co-owns a microbrewery in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
And the challenge, too, then, is obviously as prices go up, demand goes down, and people may skip a second beer or they may skip going out to dinner because they're trying to save money.
The business is expanding, and Sawchuk says increased building expenses will have to be passed on to customers. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
All right, let's take a look at the markets right now. They are in the red. The Dow down 1,522 at 39,085. So the Dow's down more than 3.5%. NASDAQ's down more than 5%. And the S&P's down almost 4.5% here in the 1 o'clock hour. All right, we are going to have some weather tonight, according to Channel 2 Action News meteorologist Brad Nitz. Some severe storm could be moving in. Ahead of that, though, partly to mostly cloudy with highs in the mid-70s. He'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. It's hard to believe it, but 2026 Senate campaign is set to take shape in the coming weeks. But there's one heavy hitter on the GOP side that's still mulling over a decision.
Governor Kemp is seen by many as a leading contender for the Republican nomination against U.S. Senator Jon Ossoff, who's up for re-election next year. But for his part, Kemp says he needs a little bit more time to decide whether to throw his hat into the ring.
You know, I don't know. I don't really have a set time frame on that. But, you know, now that we are out of the legislative session, I mean, I'm going to give some thought to that.
Kemp says lots of people are talking to him about it. If he doesn't run, there are other state Republicans considering a bid, including Insurance Commissioner John King. Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
Over 300 student visas are being revoked by the Trump administration as it cracks down on immigration. According to the University of Georgia in Athens, there are limited number of students there who are impacted. Some international students have seen their visas taken away for allegedly supporting terrorist organizations. Others have had theirs reportedly revoked for things like traffic violations. This comes as college watch immigration databases to see if students are still allowed to be in the United States. Last month, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that a couple of hundred visas were revoked and more would be happening every day. It's 1:02.
Window is just a window until you have to replace yours.
Yeah, we hear that all the time, but nope, all windows are not the same.
It's Jonathan and Ted from North Georgia Replacement Windows.
Upgrade now to beautiful Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows to improve energy efficiency, comfort, and curb appeal.
Experience the Infinity fiberglass difference at your home or in our new Alpharetta showroom. Don't buy just any window.
Invest in your home.
Infinity from Marvin Replacement Windows, yeah!
At Coosa Valley Credit Union, we're committed to saving our members money by offering the most competitive interest rates in the market. Now, auto loan rates are as low as 4.49 APR. But if you open an account with a direct deposit, we'll knock your rate down a whole %, as low as 3.49 APR. This is Andy Harris, president of Coosa Valley Credit Union. Save money on your auto loan and experience kinder banking at a branch near you.
Contact 706-235-8551 for more details. Equal opportunity lender.
Do you frequently ask family and friends to repeat themselves? Do you struggle to understand conversations when you're at a restaurant, missing important life moments? Hi, this is Dr. Prince from Atlanta Hearing Associates, and we can help you hear better again. At Atlanta Hearing Associates, we combine the latest technology with compassionate care given by doctors of audiology. technology to help you successfully manage hearing loss and get back to enjoying your life to the fullest. We offer hearing tests for individuals of all ages with easy online scheduling at hearatlanta.com. Symptoms: your hearing is muffled or words are not clear. It's difficult to hear when there is background noise. You turn the TV volume way up. If you noticed any of these symptoms, it's time to have a hearing test. Come on in and see us at Atlanta Hearing Associates. Easy online scheduling is available at hearatlanta.com. HEAR Atlanta.com.
Protect your turf from termites. Call Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters. And Breda is proud to sponsor Scott Slade's Georgia every Thursday on Atlanta's Morning News.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
It's 1:05, time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Just got that stalled big rig in Marietta to the right shoulder. All lanes now open. I-75 northbound at the South 120 loop exit 263. That'll help out the delays leaving I-285. Now traveling down onto the south side in Stockbridge. Another stalled big rig in a right lane. 75 southbound Hudson Bridge Road exit 224. That's jamming you up leaving I-675. And seeing some volume downtown. 85 south just below Georgia 400. 75 from Northside Drive. You stay sluggish on the connector south through Midtown. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm Channel 2 Action News Chief Meteorologist Brad, and it's headed to the mid-70s with increasing clouds ahead of showers and storms. Some of those strong to severe this evening into the night. Damaging winds and large hail, the main threats. That comes and goes quickly. Just some lingering isolated showers on Friday. Tomorrow's low 53, high 66.
And right now, WSB Storm Tracker radar in the metro area is clear. We have 68 degrees in Dunwoody. It's 70 in Fairburn. Tucker has partly cloudy skies and 68 degrees. And here in Midtown Atlanta, we have 69 degrees on Peachtree Street. More news at 1:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
America, it's Eric Erickson here. Delighted to have you from coast to coast. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, happy to have you. If you text the word DATA, D-A-T-A, to 33777, you can subscribe to the show notes. Get a discount for the paid version. Great discount. We're not raising the price, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the House GOP has adopted the budget framework. Just so you know, this vote has now happened, and now they can negotiate reconciliation with the Senate. This has just happened after giving you the preliminary budget framework. The House was able to pass it. They also passed a bill against national injunctions by courts and Chip Roy's The SAVE Act, which would require proof of U.S. citizenship. They passed a significant number of bills here in the last little while as I've been talking, so that's good. Now, I gotta transition to the poor left. There's a method to my madness here right now, and I just let me talk and y'all listen, because there's a very nice man who 2 years ago sent me a note. My family, we like to go to Hilton Head. Hilton Head's kind of my happy place. I can't afford to have a beach house down there. I'm not a bajillionaire, contrary to what you may read on the internet. Or Lake Burton, where about a house on Lake Burton up in North Georgia is about the same as a house on the beach in Sea Pines. It's a lot of money. I mean, I shouldn't say that much, because there's like $15 million in Sea Pines, and it is like $5-6 million on Lake Burton. So for those of you who don't know, Lake Burton is the highest lake in Georgia. It's gorgeous. It's cool up there all the time. Nick Saban owns a nice big house on the lake and has a golf course up there, and we love to go there. My wife likes it up there because of the windy mountain road she can ride her Harley on. So this very nice man sends me a note and says, hey, we got a cabin on Lake Burton if you ever want to borrow it. That was 2 years ago. Yesterday, he sent me a text message via Facebook said he was upset about my choice of topics lately. I either needed to get on the Trump train or get off the radio. Now, yesterday, I can document for you, or the last couple of days, I have talked about the president's successful foreign policy on the Houthi. I have talked about the president's successful policy deporting people. I've praised the president for taking on college campuses, for resetting relations around the world. I've just been critical of tariffs. I have read Milton Friedman. I have read Adam Smith. I have listened to Ronald Reagan. I have read the old papers at the Heritage Foundation that they have at Memory Hold. And tariffs are bad, and tariffs cause recessions, and guess where we're headed? I could tell you that was going to happen, but he's very upset about me for the tariffs. And I pointed this out, and a progressive replied, how can you even support Trump? So I've got on the right someone saying, get on the Trump train or get off the radio, and on the left, someone saying, how could you ever support Donald Trump? You should know there is a pattern here. There is a historic pattern. It is a pattern I am very familiar with over time. Every time I start getting attacked by Trump supporters pretty aggressively online comes at a time where they themselves feel the least secure. Now, you can deny it. You can say that's not true. But in my experience, going back to 2015, if they feel encouraged and they feel like they're on the right side, if they feel like things are in their direction, I never hear from a lot of Trump supporters that I need to toe a party line or affirm their beliefs or quote-unquote get on the Trump train. But when the headwinds start building and they start feeling like everyone is out to get them and they're on defense and things are going well, that is when I hear constantly, get on the Trump train or get off the radio, shut up, you have Trump derangement syndrome, whatever. That's when I hear you've got Trump derangement syndrome. Never mind, I supported him in 2020 and 2024. In fact, the guy who told me last night I had Trump derangement syndrome and needed to get on the Trump train or get off the radio pulled up his voter file versus mine. I've given Donald Trump more money than he has. But when the headwinds build, they get a little defensive and they tell you, get on the Trump train. Or else. The left, however, is losing their mind too. Do you know yesterday we had the big spike in the stock market? Donald Trump tweeted out, now's a great time to buy. People took him at his word. People started buying. The stock market shot up, and you know what the left is saying today? I bet he engaged in insider trading. I bet Donald Trump tipped people off. He did tip people off online. I saw it. I saw the tweet. I didn't buy. I already bought my Apple stock the other day. It did quite well yesterday. Apple rebounded. It's all back down again today, but that's okay. You know what actually caused the massive stock market spike yesterday? When the market started going up because of Trump's tweet about suspending the tariffs, hedge funds realized they would be out so much money because they were betting on a stock market collapse, they started having to buy up stuff so that they wouldn't get out over their skis, and that caused the market to go up even higher. There's a big story in the CNBC today about why the stock market at the end of the day had this massive spike. It was because hedge funds had hedged their bets on a further market decline and got spooked that, maybe the stock market's going to start going up again. And they caused a massive spike in the market that is now selling off today. But the left saw it and they're like, there must be something sinister here. Where people on the right are, it's all art of the deal. People on the left are all, there's something conspiracy. And both sides try to find a silver bullet when their side's out of power. And when they're in power, they get highly, highly defensive. The people on the left who were all that, Joe Biden, it's not senility. He's got a speech impediment. I mean, it's the same energy. It's actually the art of the deal. Same energy. Both sides engaging in some level of apologetics to defend their side, particularly when they get on the defensive. Listen, I was an elected Republican. I've given Donald Trump a lot of money. I supported him. I've had his family members on my radio show, but I strongly believe, and have ever since I got into politics, that you got to have people willing to, from inside the tent, disagree when you see something going badly. And I see tariffs going badly, and I'm willing to say so. And I'm sorry if that upsets some of you. But I got to say something else here. This is probably going to enrage some people. I'm just begging all of you. Listen to me all the way through. Listen to me all the way through, all of you. I didn't support Donald Trump in 2016. I actually thought Donald Trump would get in office and turn out to be a big lib because he had been a Democrat all his life. In fact, I got in trouble, made headlines in 2016. I was on Fox. I was a contributor at Fox, one of the last times they had me on before Trump got elected. I was being challenged, I think, by Neil Cavuto. I think it was Neil Cavuto, who said, I mean, you say you're not voting for Donald Trump or you're voting for Hillary Clinton. I said, no. And he says, well, the election's coming down to Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton. Who do you choose? And I said, the bullet. Didn't go over well internally. But I couldn't support him in 2016. Let me tell you what happened to my family. We had to have armed guards at our house. If you haven't heard the story, in 2016, we had 3 men show up at our house to our front porch to threaten my family. And the way they threatened me was essentially that they would have me off radio. My wife has stage 4 lung cancer, and they would cost her insurance and she would die. And it would be my fault because they would make sure I was fired for not supporting Trump. My daughter was given a guide to commit suicide. Now, I let me lay this one out for you guys because this is the most demented, screwed up thing. Our kids at the time went to the school that is our church's school. And you should know that people at the school get very upset with me when I bring up this subject, but it's a true story. In 2016, I had said, I'm sorry, I'm a conservative. I don't think Trump is, and I can't support him. I'm not going to support him. It's in a choice between two evils. You don't have to vote for evil. And kids at our church's school that my kids went to prepared a guide to commit suicide for my daughter. Essentially telling her that if she killed herself, her father might see the error of his ways. My son was in 3rd grade. My daughter was in 6th grade. You should have seen the way her personality changed. You hear about those kids who start wearing black in school. It's a telltale sign something's up. That's exactly what happened with my daughter. She became very introverted. She had been very extroverted, very introverted now, wore black. Didn't have any friends anymore. All her friends said they couldn't be friends with her because their parents didn't like me. My son was beat up on a playground in 3rd grade. They beat him up on the playground because of my politics. My kids got chased through a store and yelled at that their father was destroying the country. They didn't want to be anywhere near me. My kids wanted nothing to do with me. And they didn't want me to change my mind. You know, I didn't even know at the time that my daughter had been given this guide on how to kill herself because they didn't want to influence me. They believed in what I was doing. They thought I was taking a proper position. And I didn't support Trump. And only later did I realize just how bad it was with my family. My wife and kids, they didn't want to go to church anymore. They were getting harassed by people at church. My wife was announced to her Sunday school or her Bible study she had stage 4 lung cancer, and a woman came up to her and said she'd pray for her but wanted to punch me. And I weathered the storm. And you know, Mike Pence was a longtime friend of mine. And Mike Pence, I think, behind the scenes kind of explained to the president's team what was going on in my life at the time. And they started reaching out, and I had a series of pleasant conversations with the president starting in 2019 and ultimately wound up supporting him in 2020. And I supported him in 2024. And so now I get progressives, and they come to me all the time and say, given what you went through, what this man put you through, how could you support Donald Trump? And every time I look them in the eye and I say, you should really be asking yourselves what it is about your side that makes me support a man who put my family through that in 2016. You look at Donald Trump and you hate him so much, and you wonder how in God's good earth could you support a man who in 2016 did that? or whose supporters did that. And even now, every time I say something that Trump supporters disagree with, you've got Trump derangement syndrome. You need to get on the Trump train. I'm going to get you off the radio. I'm going to call the advertisers and tell them to take you off the radio. It hasn't changed. But you know what? It's never actually been Donald Trump. It's been his supporters. And the problem is that on the left, it's not the left, it's the politicians. It's the politicians on the left who sued nuns to force them to pay for abortions. It's the politicians on the left who deprived local schools of funding unless they put boys in girls' sports. It's the politicians on the left who've harassed states and nonprofits that were Christian who didn't want to support same-sex relationships and adoption. It's the politicians on the left who went after the bakers and told them they had to bake the cakes. It's not the supporters on the left I'm concerned about. It's the politicians on the left. Donald Trump and I came to terms. I've had more conversations with Donald Trump than probably most of you have had with Donald Trump. I've given him a lot of money over the last few years. Yes, it aggravates me when I can say grand and glorious things about Donald Trump all the time, but my God, you say one bad thing about him or you criticize him on one position and you have Trump derangement syndrome. Get on the Trump train or get off the radio. It's actually a sign of insecurity and immaturity of Donald Trump supporters when that happens. But on the left, I couldn't care less about the left-wing activists. They've showed up at my house. They've put terrible things in my mailbox for my kids to find. They pulled into my driveway to harass my family. But it's the left-wing politicians who are out there going after churches, going after conservatives, going after Christians, going after states that disagree with federal policies, going after big businesses, going after small businesses, going after anyone who dissents from left-wing ideology and wokeism on demand. So yet you'll excuse me for supporting a guy who I don't necessarily see eye to eye with, because I actually see more eye to eye with him than I do the people on the left who have genuinely not just gone insane, but I think do push more and more increasingly evil policies.
Those who love him, listen to find out what he's going to say next. Those who disagree with him, also listen to see what he's going to say next. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
121 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Stalled big rig moved off to the right in Stockbridge, 75 southbound just before Hudson Bridge Road, exit 224. Delays improving there. Slow into DeKalb County, I-20 westbound, seeing some delays leaving the mall at Stonecrest through the work zone passing Panola Road, exit 71. And downtown, got a stalled truck partially in the right lane, 75-85 northbound, right around Freedom Parkway, exit 248. You're on and off the brakes there, back to University Avenue. Traffic brought to you by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off, and for UPS shipping, add code radio and get an extra 5% off. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
All the notifications you need.
The story developing in Marietta.
All the local and breaking news alerts you need.
We're following breaking news in Atlanta.
All in one place.
The 95.5 WSB app.
Download it today.
Hey homeowners, it's Erick Erickson. You wouldn't trust Mac with a jack to fix your home's sinking foundation problem, would you? I certainly wouldn't. Serious issues need serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, so are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
Scott Slade. Let's talk about how to improve your chances of living a longer, healthier life. For me, it's preventive medicine. My doctor saw one funky number in my lab work that eventually led to a diagnosis early enough so I still had options. You just got to have a medical professional looking at you every so often, especially when we're talking about heart disease, the nation's #1 killer. And that's where virtual imaging comes in. They've got the best CT imaging in the Southeast with 98% accuracy and low radiation, like flying in an airplane. They can detect calcium levels in your arteries and most cancers at the earliest stage. And virtual imaging can scan your brain to see if you're in danger of a tumor, stroke, or even dementia. So don't put this off, especially with this offer from Virtual Imaging. For a limited time, they're offering you and your spouse a free heart scan. Yes, free with a few minimum requirements. I've done it. Call 404-678-SCAN. That's 404-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
Stay comfortable at home all year long with Jape Services. Hi, this is Daniel Jape, and our team has decades of experience servicing Atlanta's heating and cooling needs, which means you can count on us. We're licensed, insured, and I personally guarantee when you call Jape Services, you'll be treated just like family. Call us 24/7 or book online at japeservices.com. That's JAPE services.com.
Jape Services.
Nobody wants to think about their septic system. Hi, I'm Shannon. I started Scorpion Septic so you don't have to. My licensed, insured, experienced team responds 24/7 with fast, on-time service, upfront pricing, and high-quality work.
Take the sting out of septic service with Scorpion Septic, where there is never a pump-out charge with your repair. Call for more information. ScorpionSepticServices.com.
ScorpionSepticServices.com. It's Diamond Month at D. Geller & Son Jewelers, and that means this month, buying diamonds comes with even more diamonds. All through the month of April, when you spend $9.95 or more, you'll receive a pair of gorgeous hand-matched diamond studs absolutely free. Shopping for your wife? Tuck those studs away for your anniversary. Upgrading your ring? Surprise your daughter with her first pair of diamonds. No matter how you spin it, there's no better deal in jewelry than Diamond Month at D. Geller & Son Jewelers. All April long in Kennesaw, Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Your non-stop news source. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Get Eric's daily show prep email. Text DATA to 33777 and you'll be in the know.
Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, yesterday signed one of the most important executive orders of his administration, getting rid of low-flow showerheads. Members of the media were incredulous. The market is in turmoil, and he would take time to sign this. You're damn right. It is one of the most important things. It drives me insane. These nanny staters. I had some progressive when I said yesterday, amen, this was such a good thing. Thank you, Mr. President. It's like, you want the government in your bathroom? No, I want the government out of my bathroom. I want to be able to have maximum water pressure in my house with massive flow. Y'all, I want a car wash for a shower. That's how much I love high-pressure water. I stayed at a place up at Lake Burton one time, and it had 12 shower heads, and when you turned them all on, it did not reduce the pressure. I don't know how they did it. My buddy Vince Longo, one day he's going to build me a house, and he's going to have, essentially, my shower will be you sit in a chair, and it just drives through the car wash. And the rollers and everything come down and scrub you, and you got shower coming from every direction. It's going to be fantastic. I want 12 shower heads in my shower. This thing also had a steam engine thing. It was fantastic. I'm just telling you, we also need to get rid of the low flow toilets. We need to get rid of the weak dishwashers that take 5 hours to wash your dishes, which, by the way, they're rolling back that regulation. The amount of nanny statism on the left to make sure things don't work. You know, people complain about you used to be able to buy a dishwasher that lasted 30 years and now only lasted. It's true. And it's true because of government regulations that the industry went along with, knowing it would cause these things to break after 10 years. Maytag used to run an entire ad campaign on how he had nothing to do because there was never any repairs on his stuff. Yes, it's true. And now you can't get a Maytag that doesn't break down because of the parts that the government demands they put in. Good for Donald Trump taking on this issue. It's a massive fight, and God bless him for fighting against the low-flow showerheads. Yeah, now do the toilets. All right. We have to move on. Before we move on, I got to tell you about Swiss America because they are warning you about the secret war on cash, and they want to give you their guide about the secret war on cash. They are rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Not only that, they've been the trusted leader in precious metals in this country for 40 years. They do a very good job of helping you navigate retirement with all the turmoil out there right now. They want to give you their guide, The Secret War on Cash, and how the government's trying to control and monitor your spending. And it's completely free. It takes less than 15 minutes to read. You get it by calling or texting my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 800-289-2646. The All-Out War on Cash includes digital forms of currency. It is spreading. The government's trying to control your spending. Get this report. It's highly informative, can save your retirement and finances. Text my name to 800-289-2646. 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news is sponsored by Ben Hill Renovation. President Trump telling reporters today he thinks things will work out very well in the end when it comes to tariffs and our economy.
We think we're in very good shape. We think we're doing very well. Again, there'll be a transition cost and transition problems, but in the end, it's going to be a beautiful thing. We're doing again what we should have done many years ago.
Now, as we check the markets right now, the Dow is currently down 1,500 at 39,107. So the Dow's down more than 3.5%. Nasdaq's down more than 5%, and the S&P's down almost 4.5%. There is a threat of severe weather later on today. Channel 2 Action News meteorologist Brad Nitz on what we might see.
Damaging winds and especially large hail, inch to inch and a half in diameter. Those are the main threats.
He says the risk for strong storms will be increasing as we head into the evening hours, so stay with us for weather updates. This is new this afternoon. Diabetes during pregnancy can cause developmental issues, including autism. That, according to new research. Dr. Celine Gounder has more.
It's probably happening as a combination of the blood sugar levels themselves, but also how that triggers inflammation, other hormonal changes, how it turns certain genes on and off during fetal development.
And she says women are now being urged to get blood sugar levels under control before becoming pregnant. As measles cases rise all across the country, some doctors are now requiring their patients get vaccinated against measles or find another doctor.
I don't debate philosophy. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to debate vaccines with families.
That doctor says unvaccinated children pose a serious health risk to other children in his office who are medically fragile or too young to get the vaccine. And a $1 billion fashion deal, Prada buying Versace for close to $1.4 billion. Analysts say it will allow Prada to diversify its portfolio and compete on a larger global stage. It's 1:32.
Your deck is more than just a place to flip a burger or have a cup of coffee. It gathers your friends and family on all your favorite occasions and is there to enjoy every day. Hi, I'm Scott Nelson, owner of Nelson Exteriors, and we build beautiful, high-quality decks at a reasonable price. We're licensed and insured, provide exceptional customer service, design help, and we'll work with the materials you want. Strength, durability, beauty. Decks done differently. Built by Nelson Exteriors. Get your free estimate. Google Nelson Exteriors.
The Scott Antique Markets is back at the Atlanta Expo Center, featuring hundreds of vendors with collectibles and merchandise from all over the world. We're on both sides of I-285 exit 55 on Jonesboro Road. Visit ScottAntiqueMarket.com for more information.
Guys, if you're having ED or performance issues and Viagra and Cialis haven't worked, you need to come see Choice Men's Health. Give us a call or visit us online at ChoiceMen'sHealth.com. Get your love life back and choose Choice Men's Health.
Hey folks, it's Eric Erickson here. Well, it's Trump 2.0 now, and things are changing quickly. Every day, changes to taxes, tariffs, foreign policy, moving at a pace we haven't seen in a very long time, definitely not in the last 4 years. What about your retirement plan? Many of you know about the Magnificent Seven stocks like Apple, Amazon, Meta. They've been behind a lot of the market's recent growth. I saw my buddy David Nicholas on Stuart Varney show the other day. David is my wife's and my financial advisor, and he was talking about what he calls the MAGA 7 stocks and sectors he thinks are going to have the most opportunity in this new Trump administration era. Well, you know, David gave my wife and me a complimentary Morningstar analysis. It's $1,000 value, but right now my listeners can get it complimentary. He's going to give you guys what he gave my wife and me. If you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, call Nicholas Wealth Management. Get this unbelievably valuable analysis for free. David and his team will review it with you, give you some total clarity, and get you ready for your nest egg in this new era. So if you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, please go to nicholaswealth.com. That's NICHOLAS wealth.com. Or call 678-990-8500. That's 678-990-8500 or nicholaswealth.com.
Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. This is prepared for informational purposes only. It does not address specific investment objectives or the financial situation and particular needs of any person who listens to this show. Eric Erickson is a current client and is paid for this ad.
All right, Alex Williams, how are we doing on the roads?
Still watching delays on 75, 85 southbound, really starting 85 southbound below 400 as you make your way into Midtown on and off the brakes. 75, 85 southbound toward North Avenue. Northbound, stalled crane truck partially in the right lane up around Freedom Parkway. And into Cobb County, right lane construction continues 20 eastbound before Wesley Chapel exit 68. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm Channel 2 Action News Chief Meteorologist Brad. And it's mid-70s today ahead of some strong, potentially severe storms coming in late this afternoon, evening into the night.
More news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
He's got the courage to tell you the truth, because the truth is what matters. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Greetings this fine Masters Thursday. I hope you're doing well. It's Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number is 877-973-7425 should you wish to be on the program. As always, if you text the word Army, A-R-M-Y, to 33777, you can be on our activist list. If there's an action alert in your state, we'll let you know. And as you can follow that link once you put your information, it's going to give you your congressman's contact info, both your senators, your governor, even your local government. You'll have all the contact info, for example, your city councilman. Makes it very easy for you to stay in touch with your elected officials and give them hell as deserved. 877-973-7425 is the phone number. My buddy Chip Roy, member of Congress, he texted me his tweet he just put up. I want to read this for you. He says, my statement on the budget resolution. Today, I reluctantly voted for the Senate amendment to the House budget resolution on the basis of three specific commitments that form the floor for my consideration of the final reconciliation package. First, the president committed to a minimum of $1 trillion in real reductions in mandatory spending, efforts to fully repeal the damaging green scam subsidies in the Inflation Reduction Act, and Medicaid reforms addressing eligibility, waste, fraud, abuse, and the other disastrous money laundering schemes pervasive in the program. Second, the Speaker of the House made a specific commitment to guarantee the House framework tying tax cuts to spending cuts. This was a non-negotiable deal breaker and will be for the final product. In keeping with the House budget resolution, the commitment would mean we start with a base assumption of $2.5 trillion in economic growth and then a dollar-for-dollar tax cuts to spending cuts above the number, such that when we achieve $1.4 trillion in cuts, we will achieve the number necessary for the tax cut permanence. Third, and finally, the Senate Majority Leader committed to achieving the House minimum of $1.5 trillion in spending cuts. This comes on top of budget top-line numbers that, while aspirational, represent a significant statement of commitment by the Senate to drive down spending. I would have preferred we amended the Senate bill to reflect these commitments, but in the interest of comedy, I will take them at their word. But to be clear, failure to achieve these baselines, including deficit neutrality, will make it impossible for me to support a final reconciliation product. This is the opportunity for Congress to simply make a down payment on our $36 trillion national debt. It is on all Republicans to ensure that the crippling tax of inflation does not put car and home ownership further out of reach for the American family. It is time for House and Senate committees to get to work to save our republic from financial ruin. Failure is not an option. I look forward to working with Majority Leader Thune, Speaker Johnson, and the President to deliver for the American people. Now, I want to talk about one particular aspect of that. And that is the affordability, among other things, of home ownership in this country. And the nostalgia for the past. I mentioned the other day I'm a big fan of the Screw Tape letters. And C.S. Lewis captured very well what's happening right now. I saw Will Kane on Fox. I think he had on David Asman, and I like them both. I think it was David Asman, maybe it wasn't, with Will Kane, who was essentially saying, back in the 1950s, you could have one parent work, one parent stay at home. You had a nice middle-class life, and nobody was super struggling. And now nobody can afford a house, cars, everything is out of reach for the middle class. That's a lot of nostalgia, and a lot of it is not based on the actual data. And if you actually do go back to the 1950s, what you often see are that they had a small house, maybe 2 or 3 bedrooms. The kids piled in multiple rooms together, sharing one bathroom. Maybe there were 2 bathrooms in the house. There was a 1-car garage. The parents shared the car. The dad did work. The mom did stay at home. They were pretty frugal. They didn't have a dishwasher because those weren't common then. Mom was the dishwasher. They might have had 1 TV in the house, not a bunch of TVs. They didn't have cable TV. They had 3 channels, maybe 4 over the air. They didn't go to Disney World because it didn't exist. They didn't travel. They went to a lake somewhere. They went camping for a vacation. They didn't take big vacations. There certainly was no internet. There was no cell phones. And you didn't make a lot of long-distance phone calls. If you did, you kept a timer so you weren't on too long because it cost an arm and a leg. And also, if you were black, you had very few of those things. This nostalgia for the 1950s, it's all well and good for white people to talk about, but you don't really want to talk to a black citizen of this United States about going back to the 1950s. You just don't. And if you don't understand why, you hadn't been paying attention. But also, a lot of the nostalgia isn't data-driven. I send my kids, or I did until one went to college, my son goes to a small Christian school, and there are multiple parents there who have working class lives with one parent staying home, and they struggle to make ends meet, but they do it. They don't drive new cars. They drive used cars. They don't live in big houses. They live in small houses. They don't take fancy vacations, and they make it work. And they sacrifice. They keep their family together. And if anything, they're actually happier than a lot of the wealthier families I know. Their family life is more stable. They're in church together. Church is part of their community. People in church help each other out. We have a lot of people these days who talk a good game about you going to church and you got to be in church, you got to be involved in. They're living their lives as a secular atheist. They talk a good game. But we have this idea now that you get married and you need the $300,000 starter home with the 2-car garage and 2 cars and TVs in every room and the golf simulator out back and things like that. And a lot of it, we have set our expectations so high. And when you actually look at how people lived in the 1950s, we're exaggerating how they lived. Now, it is certainly true there are parts of the country where even the entry market for homes is unaffordable for people. There is. And, a lot of that is local government regulation. And unfortunately, it is true that the tariffs drive up the cost. Tariffs drive up the cost of steel and aluminum. Tariffs drive up the cost of the lumber. Tariffs drive up the cost of the sheetrock. Tariffs drive up the cost of the asphalt roofing, the shingles. Tariffs drive up the cost of the piping inside the house. Tariffs are actually going to make it more expensive to build a house and drive up the cost of houses. It's one of my frustrations with, I understand we're trying to fix this problem, but in trying to fix it, we're actually driving up the costs on the people who need costs to come down. But this massive fixation on the nostalgia of the 1950s and 60s, it reminds me of the Screw Tape letters. C.S. Lewis wrote the Screw Tape letters. If you're not familiar with them, they're very, very good. The Screw Tape letters, they're called Screw Tape letters because Screw Tape is a demon. And he's writing a letter to an apprentice demon named Wormwood, giving Wormwood advice on dragging a man to hell. And when Screwtape refers to the enemy, he's referring to God Almighty himself. Just listen to this from Screwtape Letters. My dear Wormwood, I had noticed, of course, that the humans were having a lull in their European war, what they naively call the war. The Screwtape Letters was written during World War II. I am surprised that there is a corresponding lull in the patient's anxieties. Do we want to encourage this or keep him worried? Tortured fear and stupid confidence are both desirable states of mind. Our choice between them raises important questions. The humans live in time, but our enemy destines them for eternity. He, therefore, I believe, wants them to attend chiefly to two things, to eternity itself and to that point in time which they call the present. For the present is the point at which time touches eternity. Of the present moment and of it only, humans have an experience analogous to the experience which our enemy has of reality as a whole. In it alone, freedom and actuality are offered them. He would therefore have them continually concerned either with eternity, which means being concerned with him, or with the present, either meditating on their eternal union with or separation from him, or else obeying the present voice of conscience, bearing the present cross, receiving the present grace, giving thanks for the present pleasure. Our business is to get humans away from the eternal and from the present. With this in view, we sometimes tempt a human, say a widow or a scholar, to live in the past. But this is of limited value, for they have some real knowledge of the past, and it has a determinate nature, and to that extent resembles eternity. It is far better to make them live in the future. Biological necessity makes all their passions point in that direction already, so that thought about the future inflames hope and fear. Also, it is unknown to them, so that in making them think about the future, we make them think of unrealities. In a word, the future is, of all things, the least like eternity. It is the most completely temporal part of time, for the past is frozen and no longer flows, and the present is all lit up with eternal rays. Hence the encouragement we have given to all those schemes of thought, such as creative evolution, scientific humanism, or communism, which fix men's affections on the future, on the very core of temporality. Hence, nearly all vices are rooted in the future. Gratitude looks to the past and love to the present. Fear, avarice, lust, and ambition look ahead. Do not think lust an exception. When the present pleasure arrives, the sin, which alone interests us, is already over. The pleasure is just the part of the process which we regret and would exclude if we could do so without losing the sin. It is the part contributed by the enemy and therefore experienced in the present. The sin, which is our contribution, looks forward. To be sure, the enemy wants men to think of the future too, just so much as it is necessary for now planning the acts of justice or charity, which will probably be their duty tomorrow. The duty of planning the morrow's work is today's duty. Though its material is borrowed from the future, the duty, like all duties, is in the present. This is not straw splitting. He does not want men to give the future their hearts, to place their treasure in it. We do. His ideal is a man who, having worked all day for the good of posterity, washes his mind of the whole subject, commits the issue to heaven, and returns at once to the patience or gratitude demanded by the moment that is passing over him. But we want a man hag-ridden by the future, haunted by the visions of an imminent heaven or hell upon earth, ready to break the enemy's commands in the present, if by so doing we make him think he can attain the one or avert the other, dependent for his faith on the success or failures of schemes whose end he will not live to see. We want a whole race perpetually in pursuit of the rainbow's end, never honest nor kind nor happy now, but always using as mere fuel wherewith to heap the altar of the future every real gift offered them in the present. What does all this mean? What is Screwtape saying? Keep people looking to the future, and often, he points out, it's very helpful to give people a nostalgia of the past that they wish to bring into the future. And when you have a nostalgia of the past, often that's what you have is not the real past. You have the happy memories of the past that over time have evolved into your head to something more than they were. My parents, for example, they live in my grandparents' house now. When I was a kid, we would go to my grandparents for events, and you'd have people piled into the kitchen and people piled into the dining room, and maybe the kids had stools and another table set up, a portable table, a card table, or we'd sit on the front porch and we'd have all these great family gatherings. Now that I'm an adult, I go in there and like, my gosh, I never realized how small this house was. But I've got the happy memories of the past sitting in there with my grandmother's siblings who would come, family reunions, things like that. But the house was actually way smaller. I mean, it's not like the house has shrunk. It's just I've gotten big. But I remember it being such a big house when I was small. And we think of those things and we think of those happy times and we forget. We forget that the amenities we have now didn't exist back in the 1950s, but we want to take the 1950s and turn it into some ideal that we're going to have for everybody. And we want this. We don't necessarily have a clean view of what it was. The nostalgia corrupts us and makes us not appreciate the present. There are certainly problems. Housing prices are nuts right now. The cost of living can be very high. Salaries, depending on what you do, not necessarily great right now. But you know what? The idea that you could go from high school into a 3-bedroom house with a car and a chicken in every pot in the 1950s is just as absurd as it is today. But people live on the nostalgia of it. They live on the past and they create an idol of the past to be imposed on the future. And they're actually future forward. They're looking at the future and they want to take from the past to give to the future. And they're just not paying attention to the present and how good we actually have it in the present. There are certainly problems in the present. There are certainly high costs in the present. But in the present, the here and now where we have it, you actually have a lot of good. It's where you actually live. You live in the present. You don't live in the future. You don't live in the past. And trying to take the past and impose it on the future is a fool's errand. There are certainly ways to improve our lives. Sort of the downsides of the tariffs, frankly, is they drive up the costs of the present and don't necessarily guarantee the future they claim. So don't get so wrapped up in the nostalgia for a past you've idealized in your head and that you wish to bring into the future that you neglect the present moment where your blessings are actually found. Now, in this present, you may need a new computer. And if so, I recommend Vision Computers. We've got one in our house, and they are great. We were customers before they advertised with us. My son has a gaming PC. We went to Vision Computer. They built one. They talked to him. They said, what do you actually do on the computer? What do you want to do? Where do you think you want to be? They got him the graphics card he needed. They made it upgradable for the future. He's not going to have to give up this machine, and they give him world-class tech support. It's actually fantastic. You can take advantage of this and save some money by calling them at 404-COMPUTER, going to visioncomputers.com. Visioncomputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. Tell them I sent you. You're going to save even more money. Now, let's just say you need the world-class tech support. They've got thousands of 5-star reviews on how great their tech support is. I have people email the show all the time, say, I used Vision, they saved me money, and their tech support is great. You can take advantage of that, too. Just say you need the tech support. They can give you the tech support on your existing computer for just $179 a year. If you buy the computer from them, the tech support comes for free. You call them at 404-COMPUTER, go to visioncomputers.com, tell them I sent you, save even more money.
When the truth seems hazy, Eric will clear the way. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
151 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Some pothole repair just wrapped up in the 3 left lanes, 285 southbound, the outer loop, Highway 166, exit number 5, heading toward the airport there. So again, all lanes are back open. Those delays from Cascade Road will start to improve. Downtown, you're filling in from the 85-400 merge as you make your way southbound into Midtown. You're going to stay on the brake pedal till you get down to North Avenue, the Cortlandt Street area. Northbound, 75-85 northbound, that's also slow from Langford Parkway up to the stalled crane that's partially been in the right lane now, off to the right at Freedom Parkway. Traffic brought to you by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off. And for UPS shipping, add code radio and get an extra 5% off. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
When traffic
No
hits,
traffic getting through in either direction.
the Triple Team Traffic Center has you covered.
Even the bridge over 75 is being held.
Your source for Atlanta's traffic.
Traffic out of Spaghetti Junction along 285 westbound and a crash on Peachtree Boulevard 141 southbound before 285.
Brought to you by the Coolray Lifetime Parts and Labor Warranty.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Termites have one job: to eat 24/7, and your home is directly in their path of destruction. Mark Aram here for my pals at Breda Pest Management. When something threatens the safety of your home, you want a complete barrier, not just a bait station. Only Breda offers Termidor, a liquid barrier system providing total protection. And Breda knows how critical it is to protect the inside of your home, not just the outside, from these eating machines. How are you supposed to know that your home's termite-free inside when your current termite company just walks around the outside of your house checking those bait stations. Breda is better at beating termites. So I want you to switch your termite protection to Breda now, and your rate locked in for 10 whole years, just like my house. Breda Pest Management, they handle bugs and critters like termites. Get started at BREDApest.com.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
At the Original Mattress Factory, we know most people don't love mattress shopping. In fact, many dread it. And why wouldn't they? Many mattress stores use high-pressure sales techniques like today-only pricing and tout features that don't really offer a benefit. They offer an overwhelming number of options to confuse things even further. At OMF, we do things differently. Our showrooms are easy to navigate, and our sales team actually cares. Our goal is to answer your questions, not pressure you into purchasing. OriginalMattress.com.
Hey homeowners, it's Eric Erickson here. Do your windows and doors stick? Are you noticing cracks in the drywall or the brickwork? You might have a big problem. Serious issues need the serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, as are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Hope. It's more than a word. It's a breakthrough in the making. At City of Hope, we're pushing the boundaries of science, targeting cancer at the molecular level, with teams of experts working together to personalize a treatment plan right down to your DNA with unprecedented speed, making every second count, with appointments in as little as 24 hours. City of Hope, advancing cancer care at life-saving speed. Learn more at cityofhope.org.
It's your money. Get it sooner. All you need is direct deposit with a checking or savings account at Coosa Valley Credit Union. This is Andy Harris, president of Coosa Valley Credit Union. Not only can you get your money sooner, but we believe in kinder banking where you deal with real people in person. So come see us.
Don't miss your chance to take advantage of the Buy 4, Get 4 free sale and pay nothing until 2027. Sale ends soon only from Window Nation. Schedule your free estimate now at 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. That's windownation.com.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
For birdie at the Masters. That is insane. 62 feet. First of all, it's a massive putting green, but 62 feet. It went in, just unbelievable to me. Just wow, that video is skyrocketing. Up now. I think he's in second place now, headed towards first place. The way he's playing, just absolutely incredible. I wish I was there. Just what a beautiful place. It really is. Just it's beautiful. I spent too much time on it yesterday. I don't want to spend more time on it. Now, if you're on the phone, stand by because short segment here, 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, I'm happy to have you. Speaking of sports, though, have you all seen this clip? You Old Miss fans should be proud of this. They're playing a baseball game, and an Old Miss player gets to first base. They're all distracted. The opposition is distracted, so he gets to second base. They're distracted again, and he realizes there's no one covering third base, so he goes to third base. And he realizes the catcher is not at home plate. The catcher has run out. So he goes to home. He scores a home run. No errors in the field. It really was like he gets to first base and he looks up and the first baseman, the pitcher, they're starting to talk to each other. The pitcher doesn't have the ball back, so he runs to second base. They realize it too late. He makes it. Then they're all distracted about that, so he goes to third. There's nobody at third base. The catcher has now run up towards the pitcher to try to get the ball, and so he runs home. Just absolutely wild. Just absolutely wild. The coach on the other team has got to be insanely furious with his players for not paying attention. College sports are great. I hate the name and likeness stuff because it turns it into almost really minor league sports, and they're not playing anymore for their college. The fan base has collapsed. They're playing for money. And I do think Congress needs to get involved in dealing with that. Likewise, Congress needs to get involved with these regulatory rollbacks the Trump administration is making on low-flow shower heads and stuff like that. Maybe they need to put that sort of stuff in reconciliation and block the regulators from getting rid of the low-flow shower heads or bringing them back and stuff. The Trump administration doing a good job of rolling everything back. All right, folks, when we come back, we've got more, including, are we about to have martial law in the United States? Believe it or not, the left believes we are on the verge of martial law starting April 20th. I'll explain why they are losing their minds on this, another left-wing conspiracy.
Imagine selling your home and getting paid before and after it sells. It's like getting paid twice. You can with Orchard. Start with your free home valuation at Orchard.com or call 1-844-421-SELL.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Now's a great time to stock up on Del Monte canned vegetables. Select varieties are on sale for only $1 each with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Signs of a wet basement, condensation, wet floors and walls, musty smells, mold, rot. Got them? Then you need to call AquaGuard Foundation Solutions. They'll create a plan to keep your basement dry. Visit aquaguard.net and set up a free inspection today.
AquaGuard.
News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. President Trump promising everything will work out well after his 90-day pause on most U.S. tariffs.
We think we're in very good shape. We think we're doing very well. Again, there'll be a transition cost and transition problems, but in the end, it's going to be a beautiful thing.
The president says U.S. trade officials are working with dozens of countries right now to rewrite trade deals. At President Trump's cabinet meeting today, former Georgia Senator Kelly Loeffler, who now heads the Small Business Administration, says American workers are benefiting from Trump's policies.
As I go across the country, people are grateful to have a president who's not just fighting on the tariffs fronts, but to get inflation down, to create jobs.
Loeffler thanks the president for standing up to China. Now a WSB Money update and a day after massive gains, stocks are tanking today. Money reporter Jason Brooks on why it's a rough day on Wall Street.
Investors are all about what's next. So the 90-day tariff pause on non-retaliating nations is now a distant memory, with the market desperate for more tariff relief, in particular with China, which the White House clarified is now getting hit with a 145% tariff.
Right now, the Dow is down almost 1,200 points. The NASDAQ is down more than 4%. The S&P is down 3.5%. Right now, it is 73 degrees in Atlanta, and we do have a severe weather threat tonight.
Damaging winds and especially large hail, inch to inch and a half in diameter. Those are the main threats.
Channel 2 Action News Chief Meteorologist Brad Nitz has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. Governor Kemp says he's still weighing a Senate run in 2026. He's not sure when he'll make a decision.
I don't know. I don't really have a set time frame on that, but now that we are out of the legislative session, I'm going to give some thought to that.
Kemp is the top choice among many Republicans to take on Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff next year. His decision could have a ripple effect on other high-profile races in Georgia. Heading into Easter, CBS's Jim Krasula reports egg prices remain high.
U.S. egg prices increased again last month to a new record high, averaging $6.23 a dozen. They went up in price despite a drop in wholesale prices and no new reports of bird flu outbreaks in March. Egg prices aren't expected to drop until after Easter because of high demand.
Opening round at the Masters, England's Tyrrell Hatton takes the lead at 4 under par through 12 holes. Defending champion Scotty Scheffler is part of a group a shot back at 3 under. It is 2:02. This news is sponsored by FGA Roofing. Up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How retailers become seamlessly restocking, cybersecure securing must-visit shops, and how healthcare offices become the data managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business, powering possibilities.
Now through May 4th, new customers can get started with 300 megabit internet and Security Edge for $69 a month for 24 months. And ask how to get free installation on qualifying bundles. Plus, find out how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Call today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires enrollment and paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra. After 24 months, regular rates apply.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
Avoid the stress of preparing to sell your home. With a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, you can skip the hassle of spring cleaning and sell your home for maximum value. Hi, this is Mark Spain, and our offers are the strongest in the industry. With a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, you can sell your home stress-free, make the most money, and move when you're ready. There are no showings, no open houses, and no stress. Trust the top real estate team in the U.S. and find out what your guaranteed offer would be. There's no obligation. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing.
It's 2:05, time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the 24-hour traffic center.
Crash just moved off to the right downtown, 7585 northbound, just north of I-20. It's jammed up the ride back to Highway 166, Langford Parkway. Now on the south side, we got big rig trouble in the left lane, 75 south, approaching Highway 138, exit 228 there in Stockbridge. And a crash in Cobb County, Barrett Parkway southbound, the right lane blocked just south of Dallas Highway. Seeing a few brake lights there in both directions. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm Channel 2 Action News Chief Meteorologist Brad, and it's headed to the mid-70s with increasing clouds ahead of showers and storms. Some of those strong to severe this evening into the night. Damaging winds and large hail, the main threats. That comes and goes quickly. Just some lingering isolated showers on Friday. Tomorrow's low 53, high 66.
Right now, 72 in Marietta, 74 in Conyers, also 72 in Hampton. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number, want to be on the program, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, would be very, very happy to have you here. If you text the word Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can get the live stream, the show notes, so much more. Glad to have you with me. Well, I've been getting this from multiple people now. Got to be coordinated trying to get my attention, I think. Had a number of people send me notes on social media and say, can you talk about martial law that's going into effect, or can you tell people martial law is not going into effect? I had no idea. I had to look. Martial law, what? What is going on out there? Well. It turns out the left-wing paranoia is really setting in. to the extent that they believe on April 20th, martial law will be imposed on the country. You know what? That reminds me, I got to do my taxes. April 15th is coming up. Extension time. Yeah, April 20th, the world comes to an end. Martial law is imposed. Donald Trump declares himself essentially the autocrat, the emperor. Donald Trump will officially be an authoritarian on April 20th when martial law, and by the way, some people are spelling it marital law. I assure you Donald Trump is not imposing marital law on the country. But martial law, it comes April 20th, according to the left. See, here's what happened. On his first day in office, January 20th, Donald John Trump, President of the United States of America, signed an executive order that says on April 20th, the Department of Homeland Security and others have to certify the border is secure, or else extreme measures will be taken under the Insurrection Act. Therefore, if they don't say the border is secured, and they're not going to, because by not doing so, they're going to give the President of the United States martial law, and he will begin to round up his political opponents, and he will round them up and throw them in, well, probably the FEMA camps. You know, this is so wild. So you go back to the Obama administration, and there were a lot of people on the right who offered this conspiracy theory about the FEMA camps. There are people who just want to believe the wacky conspiracy theories. And by the way, you should know that when I ridicule the idiots who believed in the FEMA camps, I get some highly angry emails and social media tweets and things at me and comments about how they were real. Oh, really? Did you wind up at the FEMA camp? No. But I know so-and-so who knows so-and-so who was married to so-and-so, who's kin to so-and-so, who delivered mail to someone else. And that person says they know someone who got wound up and put in a FEMA camp. It's real. Like Bigfoot. And now the left is doing it. It's going to be martial law in the United States of America. Donald Trump will round up his opponents and all of the they, thems, and theirs and put them in a FEMA camp. And he will re-educate them and make the they, them singular possessive pronouns. Really. This is where we are as a nation. Both sides, when the other side is in power, come up with the most extreme conspiracy theories. And it's not both sides. It's a fringe. And the problem here is this. When the right does FEMA camps, there are plenty of people on the right to tell them they've lost their mind. And you've got the entirety of the mainstream media telling them they've lost their mind. But when the left comes up with crazy conspiracy theories, you've got very few people on the left willing to tell people on the left, no, you've gone nuts. And you have very few members of the media who are willing to tell them they've gone nuts. In fact, so often the conspiracy theories of the left become mainstream because so many members of the media believe them. It's only a matter of time before MSNBC starts warning people about the coming martial law in the country. I would not be, well, I don't know. Joy Reid's gotten canceled now, so maybe not. But I wouldn't be surprised if some MSNBC show host starts talking about martial law coming on April 20th. I wouldn't be surprised at all. The wild things these people concoct. The delusional ramblings of the MSNBC host that lives in an alternate reality. Not in the real world, but in some alternate place where everything is terrible when Donald Trump is president. Everything is glorious and wonderful when Democrats are in charge. Friends, martial law is not going to happen on April 20th. How do you know, Erickson? How do you know? Well, because there are so many federal judges left and right who would be vehemently opposed to the idea of the president having the power under the Constitution of the United States to impose martial law. Why? Here's a dirty little secret. Shh. Come close. We don't want other people to know this. Shh. Listen carefully. Listen. I don't know if you know this or not. The police power is part of the state powers under the Constitution, not the federal power. It's why the Federal Bureau of Investigation is a Bureau of Investigation and not a police department, because the police power of the United States resides with the states. So if the president wants to declare martial law, good luck, sir, trying to declare martial law. But Lincoln, the Civil War, a lot of that stuff was undone by the United States Supreme Court, you will recall. Even Abraham Lincoln was constrained by the United States Supreme Court despite having the plenary war power of the United States, making Abraham Lincoln the most powerful president other than Franklin Roosevelt when declaring war. You know, the presidency can be an unbridled dictator when war is declared with certain limits. The war power gives the president extreme power, which is why Congress is always so reluctant to declare war. Congress hasn't declared war since World War II. They've been given the president resolutions, defense resolutions, without actually declaring war. Even after 9/11, Congress did not want to declare war because of the unbridled power of the presidency, which comes. And there's been no declaration of war by Congress, so the presidency cannot unleash those powers. All you have to do is understand the basic structure of the United States government. The Constitution of the United States creates a federal government that gives limited powers to Washington, D.C. Limited powers. Those limited powers are derived to allow the United States to act in harmony and otherwise to allow the United States to operate with one voice abroad. Now, here is the thing. There is the writ of habeas corpus. The writ of habeas corpus essentially requires a hearing to justify someone's arrest. Article 1, Section 9 of the United States Constitution says, the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless, when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. Martial law has been limited drastically in the United States. And in fact, we have the Posse Comitatus rule, the Posse Comitatus Act passed by Congress after the Civil War, which does not allow the military to operate as domestic law enforcement unless Congress specifically approves it on a case-by-case basis. Martial law, I'm just looking this up, martial law has been imposed 68 times in limited, usually local areas of the United States. Twice for war or invasion, 7 times for domestic war or insurrection, 11 times for riot or civil unrest, 29 times for labor disputes, 4 times for natural disaster, and 15 times for other reasons. Habeas corpus was suspended only once during the U.S. Civil War. It takes an act of Congress to suspend it. In most of those cases, if not all of those cases, it was the states that did it. The president and Congress are greatly restrained in how they can do it. Governors themselves actually have power to impose martial law. All you need to do is understand history and the law of the Constitution. And that's not really hard. You can open a book, you can read the Wikipedia entry. I mean, let me read this to you. In the United States, martial law has been used in a limited number of circumstances, such as New Orleans during the Battle of New Orleans, after major disasters such as the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, or during riots such as the Omaha Race Riot of 1919 or the 1920 Lexington Riot. Local leaders declared martial law to protect themselves from mob violence, such as the Nauvoo, Illinois during the Illinois Mormon War, or Utah during the Utah War, or in response to chaos associated with protests and rioting, such as the 1934 West Coast waterfront strike, in Hawaii after Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, or during the Civil Rights Movement in response to the Cambridge Riot of 1963. The common thread is that martial law is most often suspended at the state level by local officials, not by Congress, because on a national level, the president and Congress have the power within certain constraints to impose martial law, since both can be in charge of the militia. However, the president's power is greatly restrained because of the habeas corpus rule, which can only be suspended by Congress. But the left doesn't care because they've internalized that Donald Trump is the big bad. And their talking heads and their leaders and their media outlets treat him as if he's some sort of authoritarian tyrant. But here's the thing. When we get to April 20th and martial law is not imposed, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll try. And then you'll find some federal court judge who enjoins him nationally and prevents it from happening. But let's just say, we get to April 20th and it doesn't happen. Hypothetically, it doesn't happen. Guess what? None of these people are going to have any level of awareness that they were played. We see this happen all the time. That when one side is in power, the other side kind of gets a little crazy, begins to lose its mind, begins to dabble in conspiracy theory, and becomes convinced of FEMA camps or martial law, and they refuse to be talked out of it. And in fact, so often, when you do point out it did not happen, some of them, no, it actually did happen. You may not be aware of it, but it actually did happen, like the FEMA camps. The number of people who will tell you they really were a thing. No accountability. No sense of restraint. Just crazy. It is a sign of a troubled mind when you will impute that much evil and violence on the other side politically. That's not to say there aren't people who don't engage in evil. There are. We're all sinners. We all fall short. We all have evil in our heart. But so oftentimes, the most political among us, the people who treat politics as a religion, the people who've turned it into an idol, they believe that the other side is evil. And it's people on the left believe people on the right are evil, people on the right believe people on the left are evil, and they impute to the leadership of either side the most sinister motives. And when what they believe is going to happen doesn't happen, they can't just walk it back and say I was wrong, and they can't recalibrate and think maybe they're not as bad as possible. They're just, just wait, it's coming, and they will work themselves into a frenzy for 4 years, regardless of who's in charge. And these are the crazy people we should all be praying for and also avoid. There will be no martial law on April 20th.
Follow Eric on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Search EW Erickson.
220 Cool Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Big rig trouble in Stockbridge. We got the left lane blocked, 75 southbound, just before Highway 138, exit 228. That's slow on the ride back toward Morrow. You hit the brakes right around Mount Zion, exit 231. If you're traveling downtown, 75-85 northbound, still seeing the delays. Had some trouble clear up around Langford Parkway, exit 243. Southbound, some trouble off to the right there. Slow and yellow leaving University Avenue. And construction cleared 20 eastbound Wesley Chapel Road into Cab. Traffic brought to you by Georgia Commute Options. With Georgia Commute Options, you can get more out of every mile, earn prizes, gift cards, and other cool deals when you switch from driving alone to a cleaner trip. More at mygco.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Hey, I'm Chris Chandler. When you join us Friday for Atlanta's Morning News, we'll cover any storm-related trouble. Watching your money again at the end of one wild Wall Street week. Also get the view from Washington in our weekly Friday chat with CBS's Scott McFarland in the nation's capital. And Clark Howard explains this frozen job market we're in and what it means if you're looking for work. All this starting at 5 a.m. on Atlanta's Morning News on 95.5 WSB.
If you've been taught that all bread is unhealthy, I'm here to tell you not if it's real bread. Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. If you're struggling with weight gain, high cholesterol, constipation, even warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, come visit us at the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, where we have taught thousands of customers that real bread might be their healthy solution. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of real whole grains and bread. I discovered that store-bought bread has had most of the nutrients in the grain removed during milling, and yes, even packages labeled 100% whole wheat. Make a healthy eating change in your life at Bread Becker's in Woodstock. We'll show you how bread, but only real bread, might be the answer to your family's physical ills. The Bread Beckers. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
If you're approaching or in retirement, listen closely. The stock market has been volatile. Are you tired of seeing your retirement account nosedive? With so much going on in the world, how can you be confident that your retirement is safe? Let me show you how. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Retirement is meant to be enjoyed, but it's hard when you're not sure that your nest egg is safe. At Mitch Lyons Wealth, we wrote the book on protecting your retirement. It's called Retirement of Steel, and each of our clients enjoys a retirement of steel that can weather any storm. If you're not 100% sure that your retirement account is safe, contact us today for a complimentary review. Let's see if the strategies that we're using to help people retire confidently can work for you. I think you'd agree 40 years of working hard and saving for retirement is worth this call. Call 888-471-3896, 888-471-3896, again 888-471-3896. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-2798. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-575-2798. That's 800-575-2798.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Belinda here for Atlanta Vision Institute. I'm here to introduce you to a new procedure that Dr. Ashraf is performing called laser optics. This changed my life, folks. I was so tired of wearing contacts and glasses. The glasses were not around when I needed them. I had astigmatism, so the contacts didn't fit me well, and I had beginning stages of cataracts. So I went in. I was a great candidate for laser optics. It was a quick, painless procedure. The next day, it was like everything was in HD. The colors were more vibrant. The leaves were more vibrant. The sky was more vibrant. My husband was better looking. Everything was great. Laser optics with Dr. Ashraf, Atlanta Vision Institute. Go to the website 2020atlanta.com to find out more information. Also, take the quiz to see if this is a procedure that's good for you. Your medical insurance may cover it. That's 2020atlanta.com.
Not the talking points. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Hello there. Welcome. There is some breaking news. Elon Musk has announced to the president's cabinet he anticipates savings of $150 billion in fiscal year 2026 from the work that Doge is doing. Now, that is less than what he initially thought he could save. They originally thought they could save upwards of $1 trillion. There is some confusion on do they think they've saved $1 trillion now and they'll find another $150 billion next year. It appears from the initial explanations coming from the White House that when all is said and done and everything was examined, it looks like there's about $150 billion in savings they'll be able to find for 2026. Now, that being said, that is a lot of money, and that money will help get the House and the Senate closer to their savings of $1 trillion that they need. And it brings it down to, what, $850 trillion or $1 billion that they need, and surely they'll be able to find that probably in just like the Pentagon's reserve budgeting. We'll be able to find it. But still, Congress, by the way, you should note, can rescind a lot of stuff. So they can do it without the filibuster. There's an odd rule in the Senate rules where if Congress allocates money and it turns out that money doesn't need to be spent, that money can be pulled back by Congress and there's no filibuster. It's just a standard 51 vote margin in the Senate and majority in the House as well, which is actually really, really great. So a lot of opportunity for the House and the Senate to find the savings that they need to be able to advance the president's tax cuts. And the tax cuts are really key here. In fact, I would argue that the president should have hammered out the tax cut package before going with the tariff package, because it could have excited the market so much that any offset from the tariffs could have been managed and the economy would not have begun a slowdown process if the tax cuts had come first. I mean, this was one of the big issues in his first administration. So many of his economists internally also said at the time, tax cuts before tariffs. Tax cuts before tariffs tends to minimize the fallout from the tariffs, but we did it the opposite way this time, and, well, we got the fallout with the markets not doing well today. In fact, the Dow is recovered a little bit now, down only 887 points, NASDAQ on 616, and the S&P 500 now down 155. They've all recovered off their lows of the day, but still down overall, giving up yesterday's gains. Now, I want you to gain freedom with banking at Old Glory Bank, because they're my bank and they can become your bank. If you go to oldglorybank.com, fill out the form online. It takes less than 8 minutes. You can get an account for yourself, your child, your business. It is a bank by conservatives for conservatives. They've made it easy to deposit cash, even though they're an online bank. They have a great app. They have a great debit card system. They've got great online bill pay tools and budgeting tools. They are a full-service bank. If your business needs a good bank account, Old Glory Bank is where you want to go. And again, they are very, very, very hands-on with businesses. They'd love to have your account. Go to oldglorybank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, terms and conditions apply. If you want to invest in Old Glory Bank, go to own.oldglorybank.com. I've done this as well. They're selling their stock to Main Street, not Wall Street. You can check it out. Stock goes up and down. It's not FDIC insured. You should talk to an advisor if you're interested in doing it. Own.oldglorybank.com, or just go to oldglorybank.com today and get a checking account or savings account, a business account, whatever you need.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. It's the WSB Money Update. Stocks giving back a lot of the gains from yesterday. At this hour, the Dow's down over 800 points. The S&P is down close to 3%, and the NASDAQ is down more than 3.5%. President Trump thinks the U.S. is in very good shape following the 90-day pause on most U.S. tariffs. The president promises the American people everything will work out well.
We're doing again what we should have done many years ago. We let it get out of control, and we allowed some countries to get very big and very rich at our expense.
President Trump says U.S. trade officials are working with dozens of countries to rewrite trade deals. By a narrow margin, the House approves a budget plan.
On this vote, the yeas are 216, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted without objection. The motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
The vote comes a day after House Speaker Mike Johnson pulled the resolution from a vote due to wavering support. The House and Senate must approve identical versions before lawmakers can start working on a bill to extend President Trump's 2017 tax cuts. Governor Kemp is thinking over a Senate run next year. He's the top choice among many Republicans to take on Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff, but Kemp says he hasn't made a decision yet.
And I'm going to try to get a little bit of downtime where I can to kind of think through things, do some due diligence, and then we'll keep people posted.
His decision could have a ripple effect on other high-profile races in Georgia. No injuries reported after two planes clipped wings at Reagan National Airport in Washington. The planes were taxiing when it happened. It is now 2:32. This news sponsored by Brett Beckers.
Do you have an unused vehicle sitting in your driveway? Imagine turning it into a new beginning. When you donate your car, truck, or van to Tommy Nobis Center, you're helping people with disabilities get the training and support they need to enter the workforce and build successful careers. Your vehicle donation fuels real change, giving people a chance to achieve independence and purpose. And it's easy. We'll handle everything from pickup to paperwork. Plus, it's tax deductible. Donate today at TommyNobisCenter.org. Make a difference, one vehicle at a time.
1877 Cars for Kids. KA
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877-Cars-for-Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Attention men, are you suffering from ED or PE? Here's an important message from Choice Men's Health.
I'm Dr. Katz and I'm the Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Are you performing the way you want to in the bedroom? If the answer is no and you've tried Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra and were disappointed, then you need to come see us immediately. If you don't see results on the first visit, then there's no charge. Many of our patients have medical conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and prostate problems. I'm happy to say that we have 98% success rate with all our patients. Our customized solutions will allow you to perform within 10 minutes and last an hour and even longer. You can regain your love life and tackle your ED and PE problems. Guys, your partner will never complain again. Our clinic has the most affordable prices, so if you visit other clinics and you're not completely satisfied, then you need to call Choice Men's Health.
Regain your love life regardless of your age or medical history. Choice Men's Health guarantees results on your first visit or you pay nothing. Call now, 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170.
Hey homeowners, it's Eric Erickson. You wouldn't trust Mac with a jack to fix your home's sinking foundation problem, would you? I certainly wouldn't. Serious issues need serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, so are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
At 2:34, Alex Williams in the traffic center.
Still got this left lane trouble on the south side, 75 southbound, Highway 138 exit 228, jamming up the ride out of Morrow. Just found a new right lane crash heading toward Lawrenceville, 316 eastbound at Sugarloaf Parkway. They're about to push that off to the right, so that'll help the delays leaving I-85. And already getting slow through downtown, heading southbound from the 85-400 merge. That's where the jam starts. You stay on the brake pedal, 75-85 southbound from 17th Street in Midtown down past North Avenue. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Partly cloudy now, but some severe storms could roll in tonight. 71 in Alpharetta, 75 Stockbridge, 72 Douglasville. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Greetings. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, delighted to have you with me. Let's go to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Rob is calling, waiting patiently. Welcome to the show, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Eric?
Great. What's going on?
So you were talking about, and I'm sorry, I can't remember. I know we've had an emergency declaration and that we're using a Civil War era or perhaps earlier law to deport people based on that law. And I can't remember what it's called.
The Insurrection Act of 1807.
That's the one. So I looked that. So that's before the Civil War by a little bit.
Yeah.
So I looked it up and read through it, and it's very plain in that law that a court hearing is required to deport someone. And I've heard comments from people that seem to indicate that that law does not require that. Am I reading that incorrectly?
So there are two laws. One is the Insurrection Act, but where the president, for example, the illegal aliens who are tied to gangs they're actually using the Alien Enemies Act, and the Alien Enemies Act does not require a court hearing for due process before deporting anyone under the Alien Enemies Act, so long as that person is neither a citizen nor here with green card permission.
Okay. And so it seems like we're very close to this idea of denying habeas corpus right now by invoking that law in a sketchy manner. And that's probably why it's in the courts right now, Because it seems to me
so
like
now
the courts
keep in
are-
mind, the other day, the Supreme Court allowed Trump to continue using the Alien Enemies Act, but said he does have to give habeas corpus rights. And that was
Yes.
unanimous, so 9-0.
Yeah, and yeah. So, but that it appears to me that efforts are not being made to just toss out the Constitution of the United States, but it does appear like we're chipping away at it, because you can't just throw it all out at once. That would never fly. Nobody would ever go for it. But you sneak up and you chip a little bit here. Well, you know, these people are aliens and they're bad people and they all need to be sent away, which may be true. I'm not arguing about that. But then we have a few people that we've sent out of the country. And with me, if it's America, if we even send one person out of the country that is incorrectly sent out, especially if we send them to prison in El Salvador, that's too many. And
so I'm torn on this one, Rob, because it's not actually disputed that all the people who have gone are illegal aliens. Every single one of them, including the guy from Maryland who an immigration judge found was part of MS-13, they're all illegal aliens. Now there have been 3 cases of citizens detained. All 3 of them now have federal lawsuits, and they're going to win those lawsuits. And the court has stepped in and said, you do have to have a minimal due process hearing to verify these people are who you say they are. So I think the system's working. I don't think it's a chipping away of the system at all. And frankly, I do personally feel very strongly that if you're an illegal alien, particularly one tied to a gang, get out of here. Get out of here. The law, the Alien Enemies Act, allows the president to do that. Now, here's the irony. There's only been one judge in the country to ever examine the Alien Enemies Act, and that judge declared the Alien Enemies Act unconstitutional. Any idea who that person was? Donald Trump's sister, who was a federal judge. There's kind of an irony in there in that she's the only judge who's ever examined it and said it was unconstitutional. I don't think that case was ever appealed because of a technicality. But concurrent to that, the Supreme Court has now told Donald Trump, you got to at least make sure these people are who you say they are when you say they're getting out of the country. But if they're an illegal alien, particularly if they're already under a deportation order, he can get rid of them. And that's not chipping away at the Constitution. If anything, I think the opposite is true, that when Joe Biden and the Democrats allowed the country to be flooded with illegal immigrants to game the electoral college system, that was chipping away at the Constitution. When you're allowing a flood of illegal immigrants to come prop up the populations of states for census purposes to pad the electoral college margins, I think that undermines the Constitution. Rounding up illegal immigrants who aren't supposed to be here and telling them to leave or we're going to deport you, I actually think is a good thing. And frankly, what we do know from the data is that there has been mass self-deportation. A lot of illegal immigrants are themselves leaving the country, seeing what has happened to these other illegal immigrants. And I think, frankly, that's the system working. There is a thing. I understand the concerns, and I, as I have said repeatedly, Rob, and everybody else listening, that the Trump administration needs to slow down and get it right, because if you are deporting someone like this guy from Maryland, who there actually was a judicial order preventing his deportation, you're going to make mistakes that make you seem cruel and callous, and a lot of people you need to hold on to power are going to turn against you. I mean, listen to Rob's concerns there. One person gone who shouldn't have been gone, and that has happened, is too many for him. When those pile up over time, you have a shifting coalition. I got to tell you, the polling data right now for the president isn't looking great. Now, it has to do with tariffs, though, not immigration. And this is the thing that everybody needs to understand here. It is an 80-20 issue in this country to deport illegal immigrants. 80-20. Americans want illegal immigrants gone. They believe the system has been overwhelmed. They believe that too many people who are here taxing social services shouldn't be here taxing social services. They believe that there is a spike in crime in areas, which is true, despite so many members of the media trying to play this down. And there's also a healthcare crisis. I mean, we've had a tuberculosis outbreak in this country in illegal immigrant populations. The measles outbreak started in illegal immigrant populations. So there are real concerns from the public about this. And I genuinely do think that when people oppose this, you're not going to find a lot of sympathy from the American people, because the American people are tired of having our laws disrespected, and they're tired of having Democrats game the system and then scream about racism. And racism is such an easy thing for people on the left to scream these days. It is such a easy thing for the left to scream. Everything is racist. Everything is sexist. Everything is bigoted whenever the left doesn't get its way. And I just think Americans generally are tired of that. And this goes back to my caution on tariffs. If you wreck the economy, or let's not even put it this way. This is just politics 101. The only major thing that has changed is tariffs. The only major economic policy since Joe Biden left is tariffs. The stock market is now collapsing. Recession indicators are beginning to flash with bond yields and commodity prices the way they are. Whether the tariffs cause it or not, they're going to be blamed. And my concern is that I don't want the Democrats to come back into power anytime soon. I think the Democrats need to wander in the wilderness. I'd prefer forever. But I know that in this country there's no such thing as permanent political majorities, so they'll come into power at some point. And the longer it takes, the better for them to self-reflect and calm down. You know, there's actually a real concern among Democrats right now that as their primaries are starting to take shape for next year, that you're going to have more moderate Democrats gaming the system, and you may have more moderate Democrats get elected. I don't know that that's going to happen. I think they're going to go far left wackadoo. And I don't want those people taking back the House. But the thinking within the White House already is that the House is probably lost. And I think that's a bad thing, because I think unless the Democrats have to wander in the wilderness for about 40 years, they're not going to realize they need to abandon wokeism. They're not going to realize they need to abandon their communist and socialist tendencies. They're not going to realize it. They're going to think the voters have affirmed them, not as a rejection of Trump, but as an affirmation of the Democrats. And that would be very bad. And that is my big concern, and why I'm speaking out so loudly on tariffs, is I think it's a mistake to impose tariffs, because I think in the history of deploying tariffs the way they're being deployed, it leads to recessions. And when those recessions happen, and in fact in the Wall Street Journal, President Trump is said to have acknowledged to a number of his advisors that he was concerned a recession could come, but as long as it wasn't a depression, he was willing to proceed. You wreck the economy, or you're blamed for wrecking the economy, even if it is not your fault. Do not think that the public won't restore the Democrats. They will. And we don't want that. Which is why I'm concerned about the tariffs. And there's a massive amen chorus around Donald Trump that he can do no wrong, and no one should challenge him, and no one could say otherwise, and no one should say otherwise. But I vehemently disagree. Listen, I'm old enough and I've been in this long enough to know that if I utter any criticism whatsoever of Donald Trump because I supported him twice and gave him a lot of money, but I didn't in 2016, therefore I must have Trump derangement syndrome. But my ultimate overarching point on this is I think someone from inside the tent, inside the Republican Party, needs to say bad idea, because I do not want the Democrats to come back to power. I want the Democrats to wander in the wilderness as long as they possibly can. There's no such thing as a political majority that is permanent in this country. They'll eventually get there. The longer it takes, the better for them to purge the wokeism from them. And so I think tariffs are going to be blamed for hurting the economy. I think tariffs are going to put us into a recession, because I know the history of tariffs in this country. I have actually studied that history. I'm not just some social media expert. I actually have a degree in history and political science, and I've worked with a lot of businesses over the years. I understand how tariffs affect them from my days as a corporate lawyer. I completely understand it. I see where this is headed, and I know what the American people will do. Right now, they say they hate the Democrats more than anything. If they get mad about the economy and their 401k, they'll put the Democrats back in power. I do not want that to happen. I think they will block Donald Trump's agenda, and with the exception of tariffs, I generally agree with his agenda. So I want him to stay and be unobstructed. And writing off the House of Representatives right now saying the Democrats are going to come back no matter what, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's going to be worse, and now you could cost yourself the Senate. And we can't afford to have woke Democrats back in power, which is why I think tariffs are a terrible idea, because it makes it more likely that the Democrats will come back into power. So I think we should get rid of all the tariffs, deregulate, cut taxes, fire up the American economy. And then the public will remember, oh, yeah, we really do hate the Democrats. And look, Donald Trump really did fix the economy. And the Republicans won't lose the House, and maybe they'll make some more gains in the Senate, and we'll all be safe from the progressive wokes dominating the Democratic Party. We simply should not be doing anything that makes it more likely for the Democrats to take control. And imposing tariffs increases the odds of a recession, which dramatically increases the chance that the American public goes, I know I hate him, but somebody's got to do something about Donald Trump. I don't want anybody to do anything about Donald Trump. I want him to engage. He's not going to be able to when his cabinet is constantly hauled up to Capitol Hill to answer the questions of woke Democrats who suddenly find themselves back in charge after only wandering the wilderness for 2 years, thereby concluding that actually the public loves them when the public does no such thing. Now, one of the groups trying to help the president advance common sense conservative reforms and pass his tax cuts is Americans for Prosperity. I did that event down in Florida with them. They're great people. They are committed to common sense conservative reforms. The REINS Act was their idea. AFP came up with the REINS Act, and Kat Cammack has been advancing it in Congress. It's a great way to restrain government. It's common sense. It's conservative. School choice, they've been fighting for it around the country. Y'all should be supporting Americans for Prosperity. You can sign up with them at americansforprosperity.org. AFP is the largest and leading grassroots group in the country, and it happens to be on the conservative side. They train you into being an effective conservative activist. Americans4Prosperity.org is their website. You can go click the box there to sign up with them. Find a chapter in your state. They've got them in virtually every state. They can turn you into the most informed member of your circle of friends or make you a real activist. It's Americans4Prosperity.org. That's the website, Americans4Prosperity.org. I'm on their board of advisors. I really believe in the mission of AFP. I think you'll really like them if you check them out. Americans4Prosperity.org is the website to sign up with them.
You're at the intersection of politics, news, culture, and current events. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
250 Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Still seeing the big jam between Morrow and Stockbridge, all due to the crash in the left lane, 75 southbound, Highway 138, exit 228. That's the reason for those delays on the south side. Traveling downtown, already packed in, 75, 85 northbound, Langford Parkway up toward Peach Street, Pine Street. Southbound delay started the 85-400 merge, and a crash pushed off to the right in Gwinnett, heading to Lawrenceville, 316 eastbound at Sugarloaf Parkway. Traffic brought to you by Active Pest Control. Mosquitoes are annoying and can be dangerous. Let Active Pest Control help keep your yard mosquito-free year-round. For your $69 initial mosquito control service, visit ActivePestControl.com today. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
He's the guy at the desk next to you.
So if you can't handle your real face, then don't tell me how to handle my life.
He's your co-pilot for the ride home.
They have a lot more money now because they stopped kneeling.
Eric Von Hessler.
Things are going to get broken.
Eric Von Hessler.
Today at 3.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
The foods we eat can be downright bad for our health. This is Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've been teaching the truth about real bread. Not the stuff you buy at the store. I'm talking real bread made with freshly milled flour. When you buy bread from the store, take a look at the ingredients. Enriched flour means that the nutritious bran and germ has been removed to improve the shelf life. Then a few B vitamins and iron are added back to replace the multitude of nutrients lost. That's not enrichment in my book. And today, that label may even read contains bioengineered food ingredients. Food should never be bioengineered. At Bread Beckers in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real bread loaded with fiber and nutrients. A delicious, healthy, affordable solution that can improve your health and change your life. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Dave Baker here for Artisan Custom Closets. Spring cleaning is here. Let Artisan Custom Closets help you maximize your space and get organized. Artisan will work with you to design an affordable luxury custom closet where you'll be able to see all your accessories, clothes, and shoes without rummaging through the clutter. Don't use the pricey West Coast closet company that doesn't customize or the cheap closet companies with pushy salespeople and pricing games. Artisan Custom Closets, affordable luxury. ArtisanCustomClosets.com.
Hope. It's more than a word. It's a breakthrough in the making. At City of Hope, we're pushing the boundaries of science, targeting cancer at the molecular level, with teams of experts working together to personalize a treatment plan right down to your DNA with unprecedented speed, making every second count, with appointments in as little as 24 hours. City of Hope, advancing cancer care at life-saving speed. Learn more at cityofhope.org.
WSB Atlanta, WSB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
Stop your grinding with Brooks Night Guard. Are you waking up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, ringing in your ears, all because you're grinding and clenching your teeth at night? That's exactly what was going on with me. I ended up going to a dentist, and he wants to charge over $600 for a night guard. That's when I found the Brooks Night Guard. You mold it at home to the top or bottom teeth. Other mouth guards go all the way to the back, which allows the back teeth to touch. This is where most of the grinding and clenching occurs. The Brooks Night Guard redirects the bite force away from the back teeth, reducing jaw pain while still protecting the teeth. This unique design is what makes Brooks Night Guard different from all other traditional grind guards. Order your Brooks Night Guard today and get 10% off plus free shipping. Go to brooksnightguard.com and enter the code BRUX91. That's BRUX91. Stop your grinding with Brooks Night Guard.
All the information without the spin. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Greetings, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here, and I am delighted to have you with me. It's too late for you to call in, but I sure hope you will consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/EW Erickson. We're also on Rumble at EW Erickson. We're pretty much all over social media at EW Erickson. In fact, there are a couple sites I've refused to get on because someone went and snapped up EW Erickson and then tried to sell it to me. I was like, nope. Just not going to do that. Just aggravating that someone would do that and try to sell me my own name. Nonetheless, if you follow me on YouTube, we're growing the YouTube channel. We're putting up the video monologues of the show there, doing our best to grow our social media. Now, I gotta move on. Interestingly enough, the Major League Baseball is weighing a salary cap. A lockout looms in 2026. This is from CNBC. Team owners may test the dynamic of a salary cap at the end of next year. Major League Baseball owners, as well as Commissioner Rob Manfred's office, have begun privately contemplating what a new league economic structure could look like as the league heads towards a new collective bargaining agreement with players. The league's current contract expires December 1st, 2026. Major League Baseball officials have discussed adding both a salary cap and a salary floor, said these people, who asked not to be named because the discussions are private. The Major League Baseball Players Association has long been against a salary cap, and that position hasn't changed. The result is a potential lockout in December of next year when the current agreement expires, one that appears increasingly likely given the opposing positions on both sides. If Major League Baseball owners are ultimately successful in forcing through a salary cap, it would end decades of limitless spending that's led to increasingly disproportionate spending between teams in the league. Critics of the format say the variability results in a competitive imbalance that reduces fan enjoyment and retention of star players in small markets. The remaining three leagues, the NFL, the Hockey League, and the National Basketball Association, all have salary caps. MLB maintains a luxury tax and revenue sharing, but no formal limit. I kind of like the idea of the salary cap. The Shohei Ohtani, the way they structure that for the Dodgers kind of makes me like it. But maybe I'm just sore because of what y'all, God bless the Braves. I love the Braves. I'm a Cubs fan and a Braves fan, and sometimes they play each other. Makes it very difficult for me. But right now, and I have too many Mets fans on my payroll. I didn't realize I was doing that. I may have to have layoffs here soon just to get rid of some of the unrepentant Mets fans. And Philip, of course, roots for whichever team is playing the Braves just because that's his personality. Charlie is a Yankees fan, so it's me versus the entirety of the rest of my team. And the Braves aren't doing great right now. They'll get better, of course. They always do. but I've just been disappointed. In the meantime, I have golf to keep me company here on the screen in front of me as I stare at my camera to live stream the show. Behind the camera is a giant TV that has the 4 Masters screens up, so I can see the featured group, Amen Corner, holes 4, 5, and 6, and holes 15 and 16. And it's fantastic, and I wish I was there. And I'm very upset I'm not there. The weather is perfect today. The first time I went to the Masters, it was an absolute disaster. I had hurt my heel and didn't realize it. The weather was gross. It was freezing. My waterproof jacket turned out not to be. And the couple that invited me decided to bring me back last year with my son, since the first year was so miserable, and it was glorious. And they understandably so don't want to keep inviting me every year. They got other people who want the tickets. And then the very last minute, I got invited to go yesterday to the Masters, and I couldn't, or day before yesterday. I couldn't for the practice round because I had to give a speech that I had previously committed to, and it was too late to get out of the speech. At least I'll have the food. I'll have the food this weekend as I watch the end of the Masters. You guys have a great rest of the day. Tomorrow, I'm going to try to find something other than tariffs to talk about. I'm kind of tired of the topic. There's lots of major foreign policy successes we haven't even gotten to this week, and we need to.
WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
Got to tell you something, when you shop for groceries, when you shop in retail stores, I got to tell you, the owners of those businesses and the sellers of those groceries, they don't know what to do right now because sales are falling because of all the uncertainty with tariffs and all the rest. And their costs for a lot of the goods have gone up. But what you're going to find is prices are going to be, let's call it irregular. It's going to pay more